This is not the greatest stream in the world, no. This is just a tribute.
All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. Right, little disclaimer before we get into it. My mic wasn't working the entire podcast, but you can hear me. Just sounds like I'm speaking into a Pringles can. But I do apologise. Will be sorted for the next pod. Enjoy, guys. Oh, and Paul, thanks for that rendition. Anyway, back to the pod. Hello, and welcome to the Total Movie Recall podcast. Yes, we are changing things up a bit, folks, on the channel. This will be a podcast moving forward, so everything will be sort of pre-recorded for your listening pleasure. We'll also be on YouTube still, but yeah, guys, look out for these to be aiming for. I'm aiming to put them on Spotify, basically. Keep your eyes peeled, and I'll let you know when they're on there. But yeah, big show for tonight. We've got a few things we're going to get into. We've got the Acolyte. We're going to get into the first two episodes of that, or just give our brief thoughts and opinions on it. We've got a few trailers that we need to get into, a couple of casting bits of news, and we're going to get into the box office decline. And also at the end of the pod, we'll get into the Mad Max tier list. But before all that, guys, welcome to the pod. We've got special guest on with us tonight, Tarek, Lockdown Stash. Sorry. How are you doing, my friend? Last time you were on, it was the Quantum Mania review that we did, the spoiler review. That was just over a year ago now, I think. But yeah man, how are you doing?
I am very well, man. As you can see, I've got more grey. I've become more grey since you lot last saw me. Nice, so you know what I mean.
Nice.
I'm channeling that Kung Fu Master energy.
Love it.
But yes, I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Yeah. It's happy to be here.
Cool.
Chilling out with you guys and talking about things that we love.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. I've got the two regulars on. You know them both. Paul, how are you doing, mate? How's it going?
I'm good. I'm so glad I'm here because I thought I was going to miss it, and I missed the last one, and I keep missing them, and I want to be on them, and I'm glad I'm here for this one. What to talk about? Star Wars, Aliens, Mad Max. Let's go.
Yeah. Paul using them Jedi mind tricks on the missus, weren't you? Yeah, I'm not coming tonight. I'm not coming. Yeah. Andy, mate, how on earth are you doing? Are you good, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to getting into it. There's juicy topics tonight, particularly the box office decline.
Yeah, man.
I want to have a right good old Scottish rant about that. So, there's plenty. There's lots of good stuff and bad stuff to cover in this episode. I'll let people decide what they think the good stuff and the bad stuff is.
Venom later on.
There you go.
Right.
1 and 1.
Okay. Right. First of all, guys, we're going to get into the Acolyte. Have we all seen the Acolyte here? We all seen it? Just about?
Yeah, I've seen the first two. I've seen the two that have been released, yeah.
Right. I think Tarek's only seen, first episode. So we won't get into major spoilers or anything here, folks. We're just going to give you our brief opinions and thoughts on it. So for me, I'll just come straight out the bat. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was originally going to enjoy it, because I've been on a bit of an up and down relationship with Star Wars as of late, especially when it comes to Disney Plus Star Wars. I've been a fan of The Mandalorian for 2 seasons. I know it's had 3 seasons out. I didn't end up seeing the 3rd season, unfortunately, but the first 2 seasons, pretty good. The Book of Boba Fett was a bit of a letdown for myself. But then I watched Andor, and that was, I thought, absolutely amazing. I thought that was a real breath of fresh air into Star Wars in many ways. Acting, set pieces, locations. It just felt very fresh. But then I was let down a little bit on Obi-Wan. I would say more than let down on Obi-Wan, because I'm coming from a Star Wars point of view of someone who loves the prequels. That's my Star Wars sort of era. I'm just a casual fan of the first 3 movies from George Lucas. It's not like I'm not an uber fan of the franchise or anything like that. But
the prequels were a big part of my life when I was younger. So I was going into the Acolyte today, and yeah, enjoyed it for the most part. Both episodes, it's given me prequel vibes. Well, the first episode did. Phantom Menace, definitely. I don't know whether it's just because I was reminded of, like the intro in Phantom Menace with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon when they sort of infiltrate that ship. There was a couple of them alien species popped up in one of the episodes here, and it was just like, oh yeah, we're back there. And also, this is like not great observation, but there was like a bit where they've got like a prison and they've got like that red sort of like, just reminded me of Darth Maul. I was like, I'm getting sort of butterflies here a little bit. But yeah, guys, really enjoyed it for the most part. Two main MVPs of the show are, I think, is it Jedi Soul? I think it is, or Soul, from Squid Games. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name because I will butcher it, but I'm really digging his character at the moment. My overall thoughts, first two episodes, enjoyed it for the most part. I was going in a little bit trepidatious, but you know what? I've come out the other end of them both, pretty enjoying it. But I am not the Star Wars fan here. I know Paul and Tarek, you are way more into this sort of universe than I am. Yeah, I'm a noob. You're the nerds. All right, Paul, we'll go to you first, mate. First two episodes of the Acolyte, just overall impressions.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, this show, because for some reason, I love Star Wars. Like, Star Wars is my shit. It's my favorite franchise. For some reason, the trailer, I wasn't buzzing for this show, and I don't know why. I still don't know why. I couldn't put my finger on it. Even though I thought the trailer was good, we were going into a new era of Star Wars. For some whatever reason, I couldn't put my finger on why I wasn't itching to see this show. Watched the first two episodes today. Loved it. Thought it was great. Been wanting a live action Star Wars show set outside of the movies for a while. I think most Star Wars fans have been clamoring for that for a while, and we've got it. I'm a big fan of the expanded universe novels. Been reading them since I was a kid. The old era and the new Disney era, going into the new Disney era. They started up a series of books called The High Republic, which is set, I think, 500 years before Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This series takes place 100 years before The Phantom Menace, so this series takes place just towards the end of that era of books called The High Republic, which is basically when the Jedi were at the height of the power and when the Sith were all gone and whatnot. So it was cool seeing that in live action to a degree. The costumes are straight out of the books. There was a couple of cameo characters in there from the books. Good thing about it, though, you do not need to have read any of them to get this show. It's a very standalone story. It's just a load of Easter eggs in there for you for fans who have been following that High Republic series of novels. I thought a great cast of new characters. I instantly connected with Sol. Is it Lee Jung-jae? Tarek, am I saying that right?
Yeah, Lee
Squid Game guy.
Yeah. Yord, I liked. Charlie Barnett, I think, plays him. I've just got his name up here. Yord, liked him. May, the young girl in it, liked that. I literally connected with all the characters straight away. I was just invested straight away in it. The character that is from the books is Vernestra Rowe, who is the green girl who's like a Jedi Master. In the books, she's a Padawan, so she's aged up for the show. Love the murder mystery element of the show. Choreography on point. We haven't seen this sort of choreography in Star Wars before. I know Tarek will be excited for this choreography, and we'll talk about it when we get to him. All that Hong Kong, they've definitely channeled that Hong Kong choreography. Do you know what I mean? It was right there on the screen. Loved it, man. Bit of mystery. Can't wait for the next episode. I'm in. Loved it.
Yeah, man, I'm with you there. The sort of detective mystery aspect to it, like they're treating the Jedi as if they were like a police force. I'm loving it. But yeah, Tarek, we'll go to you next, mate. I know you've only seen the first episode, but just overall impressions and thoughts on this one.
I would say, like, from the opening segment, you actually saw the production value is a really high production value. It's almost like you're watching a film, in all honesty. Um, you know, the quality, and I was like, wow, okay, this is good. And definitely when the fight scene really kicked in, I was like, yeah, they've done their homework here. And they had to make it look as if everyone in that knows what they're doing. Like natural, you just had to flow naturally, and it was captivating. And to open something like this that people are going to be going into thinking, oh, I don't know, am I going to like it? Am I not going to like it? I think they picked the perfect opening for a Star Wars series that a lot of people are on the fence about. And then when it goes, you get introduced to Soul. His presence, man, he just steals it straight away. His presence, like that's a master right there, you know. And he, all his interviews he speaks in Korean, so his English is actually really good.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
really good. So it really does go to show that the actors have really put a lot of work into it. So yeah, I'm on board, man. I can't wait to watch the other episode.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely make some bold choices within literally the first 5 minutes of this episode as well.
I will agree with you. I'll quickly say I do agree with you, Tarek. I didn't think to mention that the production value is really good. These Star Wars shows do go up and down. Like some you can tell they're in the volume, some you can tell they're on a set. I thought this was really, really well done. There was a couple of bits I was like, that's clearly on most of Star Wars on a studio, but do you know what I mean? Like for the most part, I was like, yeah, this is really high end, special effects. They spent the money here, whereas a couple of previous shows, certain episodes, you can tell the special effects and the settings weren't as high production. Yeah, but I thought the production on this was fantastic.
Yeah, the other ones always felt like it was like a proper a drama show you're just watching that just comes on TV. It's like, I'm watching an episode, not to insult it as much, but like EastEnders or something like that. Sometimes the quality would drop a lot in. And you're thinking, "Fuck me!" Sorry. Are we actually, watching
Star Wars?
Yeah. So it just really good, man. They really held the quality high in the episode, and I'm really looking forward to what else they're gonna show us.
Yeah, man. Andy, I know you had a chance to watch these first 2 episodes this morning. Overall thoughts, mate? Are you enjoying this one?
Yeah, for a lot of the same reasons that the guys have already mentioned. I'm probably somewhere between you, Ellis, and Tarek and Paul on the scale of Star Wars fandom. But yeah, I think you make a good point. The production value, it's got some artificial grain. I'm just looking at the spec on IMDb. Shot with Sony Venice camera, pretty common digital camera. It's all 4K master format. Well, it doesn't look like that. They've tried to make it look like film, so that's obviously deliberate because they're trying to. I think that's probably because it's set 100 years before even the Phantom Menace. So giving it that kind of grain, that kind of natural filmic look, it just helps get it in your mind that this is an older tale. This is before. And I jumped into Book of Boba Fett just randomly just to do a quick check of what the presentation was like. Book of Boba Fett is sharp as hell. It's clean as anything, very digital looking. So it's definitely been a stylistic choice to make it to shoot it in scope and to add some grain post. But yeah, the production value is awesome. The big thing for me is like, why is it taking till now? And all these we've got so many shows and movies and spin-offs and animated series. I haven't seen the animated series, so maybe it's in that. But why has no one thought to do Kung Fu and the Force until now?
Yeah,
because it's absolutely amazing. It works so well. It reminded me in many ways of The Matrix, not just because Carrie Ann Moss is in it. That helps massively because she's very much channeling. It's like, I feel like the character she's playing in it is almost like a spiritual successor to Trinity. A lot of similarities in that, in The Matrix, they've got a control of The Matrix is, it's about once you kind of understand that it's a program, you can bend it to your will and all that, which is not too dissimilar from the Force. Once you understand the balance and how to use it, you can then manipulate it. So the fight scenes are similar because there's that kind of like air of almost unnatural confidence where you can like she looks completely unfazed as punches are getting thrown at her because she can almost see them before she can feel them before they happen. And then when you blend the hand to hand with the Force, it's amazing, you know. And there's a bit of that in the second episode as well. So that's the big thing for me. Is I don't really care what happens with the story as long as they keep delivering more kind of like kung fu based Star Wars Force orientated combat. Then I'm up for it. But it's just refreshing getting something that isn't tied to Skywalker or the known characters, because up until now you've had every show they've done, there's been something recognizable. Mandalorian, alright, it wasn't Boba Fett, but let's face it, everyone was like, oh, loads of people thought it was Boba Fett until they actually started watching it. You've got like, you know, Obi-Wan was obviously, the pool was Obi-Wan. Andor even is already related to an IP, and that, you know, you've got Rogue One. So this is the first, I think, where there's no visual on screen IP to relate to, which is a bold choice. But my only criticisms would be that I don't think any of the characters so far are particularly interesting. Just being, you know, being mutually honest about it, you know, and not getting swept away. I don't think it's the most amazing show I've ever seen. So far, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is like above average, and maybe by the end of it, I'll think it's even better than that. But I think it's a solid start, and I'm keen to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think that's the best we can sort of ask for if you've been on the fence a little bit with Star Wars recently, that we've sat down, watched it, and look, we're on board. I'll watch the next one when it comes out, which I think is the best that you can ask for with this franchise. But yeah, definitely, man. Like, we haven't seen like any full-on lightsaber duels or anything yet. So if the Kung Fu looks like that, what the hell are the lightsaber fights going to look like, man? But yeah, I'll be watching the next episode for sure. All right, guys. Have we got anything more we want to say on the Acolyte so far? Or are we all good?
I just want to just say there, like Andy was saying, it is refreshing to have something not attached to the Skywalker saga or them 9 movies, and it's its own sandbox. Do you know what I mean? They can do practically what they want as long as they have to stay. There's probably canon. They do have to stay within the story group. But is it Leslie? I forget the woman who's
Leslie Headland.
Yeah, I've read an interview of her, and she's basically said, you know, she spoke to the story group, and they basically said, you know, you've picked a perfect place to tell a story because you've got probably the least restrictions on what you can do with Star Wars. And she's already asked them, can she do this? Can she do that? And they've gone, go for it. So I think we're going to see some cool surprises going forward. I think we're going to see a young Yoda at some point. That's just a speculation. Ooh. I don't know. I think we might. I think they'll throw in. They'll 100% throw in stuff we know. They're going to do. There'll be something, even if it's just that, a young Yoda. I believe there's a few. I don't think this is spoiler because I think this is public information. There's a few Jedi from the prequels that are going to turn up in it. There'll be younger versions, you know, who are on the Jedi Council and whatnot. I think I'm pretty sure that's public information. I think they spoke about that in Empire magazine. So we're going to see a few things from the movies, but in terms of story, it's its own sandbox. They can practically do what they want in this, which is really refreshing. It's like we don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, definitely. When you've got the writers, what's his name, Kevin Scott and Charles Soule, literally being the consultants on this era, and I mean they're the ones who created this kind of like this era, right, when they started to write about all the this time. That's why it's so fresh, man. And I just hope you're always going to get it, aren't you? You're always going to get the people that are going to complain. Just find something to complain about. Star Wars fans, man, innit? So but yeah, I mean, I'm just loving. I'm loving the camera work. I'm loving the choreography. I'm loving the music at certain points.
Yeah, music's good.
The music's pretty cool.
Yeah, they've really brought that East versus East meets West vibe in this. It works so well.
Yeah, man. I'll be looking forward to watching the next episode, and we might come back to the Acolyte later on. We'll get a few more episodes in the bag, and we'll discuss a bit further. But all right, guys, let's get into a couple of trailers. We're not going to show the trailers, guys, on the pod. Or if you're listening, we're just going to talk about them. We've all seen them prior to the stream. All right. First one, The Last Dance. Venom! I know this is Andy's number one most anticipated movie of the year. So we'll go Andy first. Venom, The Last Dance, mate.
Jesus.
Come on, give it to me. Give it to me.
I didn't even think this was happening because, like, I think the second one was universally panned. Nobody liked it. So, but I think I was reading about it earlier, and I think it still managed to take in more than what it was made for. So, and Sony have absolutely no shame with the licenses they have. Like, they will milk that fucker until it's dry.
I want to quickly have a look at how much it made. Carry on.
I'm sure it. Like, I was surprised how much Venom made when I was looking at it. I think Venom
half
made
half a billion.
Like, what? Do you know what I mean? And then you've got like Fury. We're getting into the box office chat here, but then you've got like Furiosa, which can't make a penny. Like, but you've got Venom. Was pulled that in somehow. Anyway, so yeah, like I thought the second one was absolutely criminal, man. Like I grew up playing Spider-Man versus Carnage, so I don't actually have a huge, and I've never even read a Carnage comic, but playing that game over and over again in many ways is my first intro to a kind of kid appropriate version of a sociopathic serial killer. Was the Carnage? It was Cassius Clay. Not Cassius Clay. That's
Cletus Cassidy.
Cassius Clay's fucking Muhammad Ali. Anyway, so Cletus Cassidy. Sorry for tarnishing your legacy there, Muhammad Ali. Even mentioned the same sentence as the Venom franchise. Yeah, but so that was like, and they just wasted it. And Woody Harrelson was a good casting for it, but just wasted, completely wasted. Terrible film. So I'm not really excited, understandably, for the third one. It's just laughable with the horse and all that. Like, they've just opened themselves right up for that meme with the horse. I've seen one already. The stages of quality progression meme that gets used for everything with the horse. But it's like, it looks good and then it gets progressively worse till it's like a kid's drawing. Well, they've started putting like the Venom horse from the third one as the head of the horse. Anyway, yeah, just, I mean, see that line of dialogue in it where they have the argument. When in the trailer there's a part where Tom Hardy and the symbiote are doing the "We Are Venom," but they keep getting the timing wrong.
Oh yeah,
and it was the longest. It was the longest 10 seconds of my life. It was so cringy, man. I'm like, put an end to this. Like, that isn't funny. It's the timing's off. It's dragged out. It's absolutely terrible. And if that's in the trailer as a highlight of the banter in this film, God help us. In fact, I'm not even saying anymore. That'll do.
Let me just briefly say the synopsis here. It's not long. It's Eddie and Venom are on the run, hunted by both of their worlds. With the net closing in, the duo are forced into a devastating decision that will bring the curtains down on Venom and Eddie's last dance. Oh, Jesus. Like, right, I can't lie, right? So there's a bit here that does intrigue me. As far as the trailer goes, I thought it was fine. I think it looks better than the last one, Carnage. I don't know if it looks as good as the masterpiece that is the first film. But I'm only joking. This Last Dance film, right? So in the synopsis, it says both of their worlds are sort of closing in on them. Now, Venom, to me, as far as a comic book character, didn't get interesting until the last sort of 15 years, especially with the likes of sort of when Flash Thompson became Agent Venom, and when later on down the line, there's a Venom book by Donny Cates, which is amazing, and it introduces Null, which is the King in Black, sorry, and all this is so much more interesting than what's happened with these movies. You know what I mean? And they could have pulled from them storylines because it's happened within the sort of same time frame.
The game
Now-
did.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. This. I can't believe Tom Hardy's still so keen to do these films
Oh,
himself. To be fair, do you
He's
know what I
not
mean?
keen. He's in a 3-movie contract.
Yeah,
so
that's
something like that.
that's money as well. That's easy money.
Easy
I'm
money for
surprised
him. He's
he
still
even
getting
did
to
the
do
first one.
projects like Bike Riders and stuff, so he's happy
I
to do
suppose
them.
he just doesn't do a lot these days, does he? We did I think in 2015, so 2012 to 2016, we were inundated with Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
in the last couple of years, we haven't really seen him. So it's like you don't see him for a while, then you see him in the Bike Riders doing his classic sort of every accent that he does for every film when he's playing an American. Then you get Venom, The Last Dance, that just dropped out of nowhere. But as far as this trailer goes, the first 30 seconds of this trailer, like you were saying, Andy, it is cringe-worthy stuff, man. Cringe-worthy stuff, and it doesn't get any better. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. Chiwetel Ejiofor's in this as well. What the hell is he doing in this film? He looks like he's playing a Marine or some sort of soldier. I'm hoping he's going to probably turn into some sort of version of Agent Venom, in the movie, playing a villain or whatever. But we're definitely not going to get Null that I want. It's just way too big for this film. You know what? Tarek, I'm sure you might know. So the Necro Sword in Love and Thunder, that the God Butcher. So that sort of comes from Null. I thought that was going to be our sort of gateway into him, but clearly not.
No,
But
I'm actually happy he's not in it. Just
you know what,
just
mate?
kill
You're right.
this shit off, man. Just kill it off, and then that's it. 3 films done. Forget about it. Delete them from existence. And then let's move on to the more enjoyable things. I'm trying to be as positive as possible but when it comes down to certain things, man, I can't hold back anymore. Oh god.
Weren't a fan of this trailer then, Tarek? No?
Man, I'm not. Even the second one, I just don't want to waste my time watching the second one, and I haven't seen the second one. I can't believe what Andy Serkis was thinking when he took that on,
I know,
to make that. And then and then this tosh drops, and I'm watching it thinking, wow. I know. Yeah, Tom Hardy is a cash grab, man. You're just milking it, and you're just getting a load of money for it, man. But come on, man. I mean, you're not unknown. You're known, man. There's some standards. There's got to be some standards, right?
Yeah.
There has to be some standards to it. And then when you see that garbage, I was like, I don't even think I finished watching the trailer. I think I just went, nope. Just axed it, man. I was like, forget this.
I actually found the trailer not very clear either. By the end of it, I was like, so what's it about? Do you know that way? It was
it was doing that thing as well that sort of modern trailers do when he does that. That music sort of that's flashing that. I'm like, oh fucking hell!
It just reminded me about because it has the Bowie song in it, and I'm a huge Bowie fan, so that came on, and I was like a little bit happy, and then I was like, this has got slightly better, but then I was still watching the dog shit that was this trailer for this movie, so then I started to get pissed off about it. But it's also that, it's almost like an AI algorithm for do you not think that's been a trend over the last few years, where they take a song from the 60s, 70s, especially MCU, 80s, like the Elton John song in Quantumania.
Yeah.
It's an example of it, right? Yeah, they take a song like that and then they kind of put this AI over it, where they just make it echoey and synthy and
trailery.
It's trailery, yeah. It's definitely a thing of the last 5-10 years.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
Space Oddity has been trailered to death. So yeah, that made it even more offensive to me. That was kind of getting used over the top of it.
Paul, inject some positivity into this.
Man.
Listen, I'm just going to say, hold on, wait. If you tried to inject positivity into this, I'm going to leave.
Unfortunately, listen, I'm a comic book guy. You know, this is how I met Tarek through over the internet, just talking comics and movies and that. So we bonded over that when we first started chatting on social media. I don't like these films at all, and I love the character of Venom. The character of Venom was introduced to me in that 90s Spider-Man cartoon with that 2-part episode, which I've watched over and over and over. I love it. Love that shit. I loved Venom in the PS1 Spider-Man game that come out.
Yep.
I've loved the Todd McFarlane's Venom comics. I loved what Insomniac did with Venom in Spider-Man 2. Why are all these other mediums getting this character right, and this multi-million-dollar live-action movie is nothing how I envision a Venom movie to look like? I don't get why they get it so wrong. But they've done this thing where they've sort of invented their own Venom, and casual movie fans will think that is who Venom is. And I think that's why that it annoys me. It's sort of like they're like, oh, Venom, he's dead jokey and funny, and he's like, oh, making jokes with Tom Hardy. I'm like, that doesn't have it. There have been comics where Venom is like that. They're not good. So they've pulled from the worst type of comics, if that's where they've got that from. Tom Hardy's completely miscast as Eddie Brock. Completely. Tom Hardy's not funny. Tom Hardy's one of the best actors on planet Earth. I don't think he's funny. His comedy timing is awful. He's one of the best actors on this planet, in my eyes. His comedy is awful. He can't do comedy. He's proved it with 2 of these films. And now we're going to see it again. And we've seen from the trailer the comedy in it. It's just like crickets, man. It's like the friggin' the hay rolling by, man's awful. I'm done with these films. They need to give Venom back to Marvel Studios. It needs to be done properly. This isn't the Venom movies I want from live action, and I didn't watch the second one in the cinema. I waited quite a while to watch the second one just because the reviews were bad. I was like, and I wasn't a massive fan of the first one. I've only watched that like twice. It's one of them films I tried to sort of convince myself it was okay, but I'm like in my soul, I'm like, nah, it's pretty shit. And the second one, when I finally got round to it, I think it's when it dropped on Sky Cinema. I was like, this is this is one of the worst comic book movies I've ever seen. And I still stand by that. I think Venom, Let There Be Carnage, is one of the worst comic book movies that has been made. Venom, The Last Dance, it's probably I put this on Twitter, it's probably my least asked about comic book movie since comic book movies started being made and I started watching them.
I saw that post. Yep.
Yeah.
What are Sony doing with these characters? Because it's blowing my mind a little bit that they keep funding these films. Like, we've got Craven coming up, haven't we, at the end of the year, that's being pushed back with Aaron Taylor Johnson. I've just lay witness to Madam Web. Holy
witness.
Oh my god, that is time that I won't get back, 100%. But then you've got the likes of Morbius and that as well. It's just like, what the hell's going on? If you haven't got Spider-Man, just don't do these characters, because they only work with that particular character, in my opinion. Like, it's not like sort of Batman's Rogue Gallery, where we've seen like loads of sort of spin-offs, comic books and stuff with them, like, that are really interesting characters. And Spider-Man does have interesting Rogues Gallery as far as the Marvel side of it goes, but they're not characters to be put in their own.
No, they're villains.
Yeah.
The villains for Spider-Man to fight.
Yeah, so I don't know. And also, as well, if you look in this trailer, I've seen a few posts saying that there's a young Peter Parker in this film. He pops up somewhere. Please stop. Yeah. Stop it. You did that in Madam Web. Don't do it in this one either. Just stop now. Stop. Right. No more chat about Venom. Just stop it. Stop it. Stop chatting about Venom. Right. On to bigger and better things. Right, now, this is a trailer that was absolutely all sorts of badass. We won't show it, but we will show this awesome new poster that they've just dropped. I think I'll be getting this one. Yeah, Alien Romulus, guys. Freddy, you son of a bitch. Right, guys, did we all have a chance to watch the trailer?
Multiple times.
Yeah,
man.
it's fantastic. Really, really good.
Oh, it's just so good. It's so good, and the trailer's also not showing us a lot as well, which I'm pleased about. It's sort of just an extended trailer from that last teaser that we got. But everything we're seeing here, guys, I'm absolutely loving. There's one particular shot in this new trailer, the zero gravity with the acid blood in the air.
Yes.
How the hell is that scene going to play out, man? But yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving it. One of the biggest takeaways I've got from this trailer and in the last teaser is they are going balls to the wall with practical in all the right areas, especially when it comes to the xenomorph. And there's a particular shot in the trailer where like there's a face hugger on the guy's face, and he's not quite there yet. He's not quite in there yet. It's in his mouth. It's out his mouth.
It's
very
disturbing, that one.
disgusting.
Really
Very,
good.
very disgusting. Yeah. Sucking the face hugger's dick. That's how I like to put it. But he was passionate. He's moving away. Mate, this trailer was awesome. Absolutely awesome. I'm here day one, night one. Whenever I can see this straight away, I'm going to be there. Freddy's just like, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of interviews with him, especially since that last trailer that came out. And, you know, if he's got the likes of James Cameron and Ridley Scott, who apparently both give this a big thumbs up, and Freddy's come out and obviously said that he couldn't pick between Alien and Aliens, so he's landed somewhere in the middle of them two films with like the tone and action of this film. But yeah, guys, it looks horrific as well. It looks like we're going back to the horror of that first Alien film, but it's also got a little bit of explosions here and there for them Aliens fans. So I'm all about this. I'm all about this. I like the fact that you can see in the trailer that there's obviously a hive starting to like form in this station wherever they are. We've got a colony that's fully active in this one, because we've obviously seen it at the start of Aliens, but we only saw a brief clip of the colony fully working in the start of that film. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't really want to know anymore. If there's any more trailers, I might back out of them, to be honest. I don't want to know anything more. I already know more than what I want to know when it comes to this film. But Paul, this trailer, awesome. What do you think?
Yeah, man. If this film is a load of crap, so be it. That's one of the best trailers I've seen this year. It probably is my favorite trailer of the year. Absolutely work of art in terms of doing its job, hyping me up for the film. I've watched plenty of trailers this year where I've been like, yeah, I'll check that out. When I watched this one, I was like, oh my days, give it me now, like right now. Like, I need to see this film. And I love it when a trailer does that, because I don't get that as much anymore. Like, you know, when you were a bit younger, all the trailers like, oh my God, amazing. I got that with this. I was like, oh, inject it into me right now. Fede Alvarez, man, knows the assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks incredible. Like you said, he's come out and said it's sandwiched in between Alien and Aliens and the story, and he has said it's skating the line of both films. You know, the claustrophobic horror mixed with a bit of the action of the second one. You can get that. You see that in this trailer. Do you know what I mean? It's got that claustrophobic small corridors, the aliens chasing them, the vents, the ventilations and all that. And then you've got the pulse rifles you can hear the motion tracker. As soon as I heard that motion tracker noise in that trailer, I was like, oh, that's all it takes to get me excited. It's like hearing a lightsaber switch on. Do you know what I mean? They were using just subtly in the trailer, like sound effects of the Xenos from the Aliens archives. You know, the I'm not going to try and do a Xeno sound effect, but you know what I mean? They were using the same sound effects. They were using... Yeah, that was crap. They were using the same sound effects from those two films as well. They were pulling. It looks like we're in that same universe as Aliens. Whereas, you know, Resurrection 3 looked tonally different. The two prequels look totally different. This looks like it fits in with them two films, which excites me because, you know, I've read a lot of Alien comics. I've played a lot of Alien video games. you know, that have done incredible stories set within this world. I've not watched a decent Alien story movie since that second film, and I think this is going to do it. I really do. I'm so amped for it. And, you know, Fede Alvarez, who did the Evil Dead remake, which is still my favorite horror film of the last 10, 11 years. I absolutely adore that film. And again, he understood the assignment for that. You can tell he's a fan of these movies.
Yeah.
We're going back to the horror. The trepidation. I remember when it was first announced and the synopsis come out for it, you know, it was like young cast of characters, and I think people were getting worried about that, including myself. I was like, I don't really want to see teenagers running around like it's a slasher movie set in the Alien film. Once I've seen this trailer and seen the cast of characters, they seem like they fit in with Aliens. I feel like they're going to be sort of maybe like new workers for the company or something. I don't know. They didn't feel out of place to me. That's all I'll say. They felt like they fit within the tone of the movies. Yeah, I'm excited, man. How long have we got left? 2 months, 8 weeks for this till it comes out.
August, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Hurry up, let's go. This is my most anticipated move for the rest of the year, easily.
I will. The only tiniest little thing is the humans. I'm not like, but we haven't seen the movie, so I'm not fully on board. It's just this trailer. There was a few lines of dialogue. Like, this is so nitpicky, but they said like fuck twice in the trailer, like really like close together. And I was like, oh, you just sort of said that. You just use your one F-bomb in the trailer.
Yeah. To be fair, I did think that. I think there was a few F-bombs here. There's definitely a Red Band trailer.
Yeah. But apart from that though, awesome. Tarek, I don't know what your sort of history is with the Alien franchise. Are you a fan? Is this one just a casual one for you? But yeah, man, what did you think of this trailer?
Well, in regards to the Aliens franchise, I'm the youngest of 6 children, so I was traumatized with my oldest renting that shit out and watching it with them. I think, oh yeah, this is all right. You know, I can't remember how old I was, but you know, rented it from the local video shop, brought it home, started watching it, and I was shitting bricks as Aliens. And yeah, it was, you know, every dark corner I'll be creeping down, man. I'll be like, no, I don't want to go down there. You know, my imagination at that age, man. I can't remember how old I was, but I think I might have been about 8 or 9. I can't even remember. And yeah, that was my introduction. And then I didn't watch them, you know, because it was like almost like, oh yeah, I got thrown into it. So I was like, fuck that shit. I don't want to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
But then, you know, as I got into my teens, I wanted to explore it on my own, you know, on my own accord. So I started watching them, and I fell in love with them, man. You know, at my own pace, I should say. Yeah, I love them. I remember when the anniversary for the first one for Alien, caught it in cinemas before it got released on 4K.
Oh,
I think
nice.
they released it. Yeah. So that was a really good treat, and you know, Sigourney Weaver being my all-time crush, I was like, yeah, man, I can't get enough of it. And then, but obviously, you know, it has to be done right. Yeah, we got the, you know, the Covenant and whatnot, but seeing how this is bringing back that flavor, like it's a hybrid of 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I just hope the new blood can carry it. Right. Let's just, you know, I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's like, you know, there's new blood everywhere now. You know, you go back to the Acolyte, you're watching the Acolyte, and you see all this new blood, and you're like, all right, yeah, I'm not gonna pick on it too much. You know, I'm just gonna let them have it, and let's see where it goes. So hopefully, yeah, they get to carry it. But yeah, when I saw the trailer, I was like, that's all I need to see. Like, I don't give a shit about anything else. Don't give me another trailer. And I think a lot of people have actually said the same thing as we're saying right now. I don't need to see anything else. Really don't need to see anything else. It's like, yeah, the film's going to come out. If you keep releasing trailers, TV spots, and this, that, and the other, that's it. Don't show us anything else. Surprise us now. They've shown some really cool stuff. And the aesthetic of the film just looks great, man. the aesthetic is like, it's like, just as I was watching it, it's almost as though I was there, and it kind of sent a little tingle down my spine at some points, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm feeling this. I'm really looking forward to what the film has to offer, in all honesty.
Yeah, man. It looks like it's setting a lot of cues from the game as well. Isolation.
Yes.
I think it is.
100%. Fede Alvarez put a tweet out, or it might be an Instagram post, about a week ago, and it was just a load of books, Alien comics, novels, art books on his shelf of like basically him doing his homework. What I will quickly say about this, if this is a smash hit, this is a hit, this will be the 4th property that Disney have bought from 20th Century Fox. If this hits to be the 4th one, including Predator, Planet of the Apes, and The Omen, that's 4 for 4. That's for 4 for 4. Because considering Disney's always under a lot of flack from people, if this is a smash, and they've just revitalized 4 older franchises, and all 4 of them have like smashed it.
Mate, we've said it before, like out of all the IP that they own, and when they took over from Fox, I was like, oh, Predator and Alien, they're going to get left behind in the water. They fucking smashed it so badly. And we'll get into Predator a little bit later. But Andy, what's your thoughts on this new trailer? Did you have a chance to check it out, mate?
Yeah, that's very similar to you guys, so I'll try and keep it kind of short. But yeah, I think it's just got that edge back, hasn't it? It's got that like there's a kind of there's a long lack in nastiness that's back, a kind of unsettlingness that I think Fede Alvarez is good at manifesting. Like the Evil Dead film, one of the few horror films I've watched, the remake, like it's gnarly. And I think that was maybe why it was a wee bit divisive to begin with, because it wasn't really funny. Like Evil Dead was a kind of horror comedy, and he just kind of went down the gnarly route, which is commendable though, because whenever you remake something or adapt something, you should try something different. Yeah, there's like, because obviously that the kind of rape scene that's in Evil Dead was particularly nasty, but in an artistic way, it's like it's not fetishy. It's there to make you unsettled, and it's a horror film. And I think that's what reminded me of that. The facehugger scene made me think back to that, because it was kind of like a rape sequence almost, because that's effectively what a facehugger's doing to you.
Yeah.
Physically, it's like sexually assaulting you basically.
Yeah.
And for as long as we go back to Dracula, sex and horror have always been linked. That's the whole thing with Dracula. It's the whole like when he bites you, it's like he seduces you. He doesn't have sex with you as such, but he bites you. He penetrates you with his fangs, and there's blood and there's moisture, and it's basically a big metaphor for sex. And that's what makes it like appealing and shocking and all. That's what it is. And in many ways, like I'm not saying that facehugger's Dracula, but like that's what makes that scene shocking, because it looks like you're watching a sexual assault. And I think that's the first time someone's like captured it that way though, which makes it terrifying, because it's kind of it's putting that horrible picture in your head of like the reality of what happens if a facehugger gets a hold of you. But yeah, I thought that scene in particular was pretty disturbing. But like Tarek had said, and I think Paul said as well, like, I think it's been well documented that he's trying to get the sweet spot between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And just going by the trailer and the production aesthetic, he's nailed it. So we'll just have to see if the entire film lives up to it. But yeah, I think it wasn't one that I was like super excited for, but with each snippet we're getting, the teaser, now the full trailer, it's jumping right up to like in my top 3, top 2 even, like most anticipated movies for the year. So
I almost wish it was coming out in a year where the box office was doing a little bit better, because this might slumber any chances of getting another Alien film, but we'll see. I'll be there day one for this one. Day one. But keeping sort of in the same line of direction, we are getting another Predator film, and we've just had some casting announcement for this. Well, one cast announcement. Elle Fanning is due to appear in the new Predator film directed by Dan Trachtenberg. This one's actually called Badlands. I love that name for this one. So yeah, not really much news to go into here, just the casting announcement, but I just want to get into something else as well. But before that, yeah, Elle Fanning, been in a few things, was in a really good film that I watched a few years back, The Neon Demon. It's a bit of a weird one, that one, but I am a fan. Elle Fanning is being cast. The premise for Badlands is unknown, but sources indicate that it will not be set in the past like Prey, but instead be set sometime in the future. It is also unknown if, like Prey, this would go straight to streaming, which is another question I want to ask you guys. So first up, I just want to ask you what you thought on Elle Fanning getting cast in this one. I think she's a decent actress. Everything I've seen her in, she's been pretty good. This one's going to be set in the future, guys. How are we feeling about this one? Paul, we'll go to you first for this, mate. Elle Fanning, new Predator film, set in the future, but this is not a sequel to Prey. How are we feeling about this new casting news?
I'm not overly familiar with Elle Fanning. I think I only know her from, was she in the Maleficent films, or maybe just the first one? Was she in them? I think I've seen the thing. I've seen.
Super 8.
Like Super 8, yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, Super 8. He was quite young in that, though, I think. Is it Dakota Fanning's sister? Are they related?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, are they? Oh, right.
Yeah. I'm not overly familiar with her, but, she's an she's not up and coming, she's been around for a while, but I feel like I'm hearing her name a bit more now, the last couple of years. In terms of a new Predator film, I'll be there day one. They've absolutely smashed it out of the park with Prey. Of course, that did go straight to streaming. I don't know why they did that. Was it just coming off COVID, Prey? Or was it around that time? Out of the, The Omen went on the cinema, Planet of the Apes went on the cinema, Aliens is going on the cinema. So I'm hoping this one goes on the cinema, because that was a disservice to Prey. I would have loved to have seen that on the big screen. Yeah. So I think they probably will do it with this one. Yeah, I'm excited for it. More Predator, a futuristic one, which we haven't really seen.
What do they mean by that? What do you think they mean by that?
I don't know. Didn't they really? Did we talk about it? Like a month or two ago, where they were saying like it's sort of like a Blade Runner-y sort of cyberpunk sort of aesthetic that they're going for. I can remember that's what they said. But yeah, I'll be there. If it's the same sort of, even though it's not a sequel to Prey, if it's the same team involved, I'll go check it out.
It's a weird one, because Deadline also released an article along with this one from Variety that was mentioning Elle Fanning's casting. And in this new one from Deadline, it says, as for a sequel to Prey, sources say while it is in early development, Prey 2 is still in the works, and that it would return to the film's original setting, so in the 1700s, with Amber Midthunder potentially returning. So it's a weird one that they've still got that in development while doing this new Predator film as well. But it's the same director as Prey. It's all a bit weird. I don't know if they're gonna sort of connect them in some weird way. I have no idea. So you'd have sort of like a girl from the past meeting a girl from the future, and I don't know. I'm speculating.
Well, it's a little bit like, well, we've got this new Alien film coming out, but aren't they doing a TV series as well for Disney Plus? I'm sure that. So maybe they're just sort of trying to make a universe out of it. Like they seem to be doing with everything. Do you know what I mean? The more content there is of it, the more eyeballs on it, sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Andy, what are your thoughts on this new casting announcement, Elle Fanning?
Indifferent. I don't really know her, so indifferent towards it, to be honest, mate. To clarify, is this one called Predator Badlands?
This one's just called Badlands.
It's just called Badlands.
It's just Badlands, this one, yeah, but it's a Predator film, not a sequel to Predator.
Right. I've not actually read anything about that, so that was all news to me that it's going to be set in the future and stuff. But yeah, she seems to be an up and up, like Paul said, she's not like up and coming. She's been about for ages, but she's probably making that transition from kind of youthful kind of child actor. She's 26, child actor into maybe like a more mature leading lady kind of thing. So yeah, I do think it's interesting though that given that she's the first announcement and they've made a big thing about it, that it sounds like it's going to be another female protagonist in what historically has always been an alpha male type, it's a guy's franchise, really, isn't it? So is that just a sign of the times that they've thought, yeah, we've went with a female protagonist, which was reflective of today, a bit more inclusive.
That was a bit trepidatious. People with Prey, wasn't it? And she smashed out the park. Everyone's like,
well, that's it. So I'm thinking, are they thinking, let's just continue in that vein, and maybe we'll get even more like eyes on it. Keep the theme with a female protagonist. But yeah, so that's quite interesting. But yeah, the Prey was amazing. So if it's the same team behind it, then I'll definitely be there. Wherever it should be it streaming or in the cinemas.
I think people gave Prey leeway as well, even like the ones with the Bernie eyes, Kathleen women can't be in films and all that. It's like Amber Midthunder's character in Prey just like outsmarted the Predator. There was no like fisticuffs. Like Prey's just got better and better every time I've watched it. I was a little bit like I wasn't in the middle. It's just because I love this franchise, so I'm hypercritical when they come out. But once that sort of goes and washes away, like, bloody hell, man, like, I'll watch The Predator every couple of years, you know what I mean? And that is fucking awful film. But, yeah, Tarek, we're getting some new casting news for Badlands. This is a new Predator film, potentially set in the future, not a sequel to Prey, they're saying. Same director as Prey, though, so it's in good hands.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Prey was coming out, and when they said that it was coming out on streaming, and then after everyone saw it, everyone was like, "Why didn't it come out in cinemas? I would have went and seen it in cinemas." Okay, and then it was like I think there was some petitions going around as well, wasn't it? People just made some up. They're saying we want Prey in the cinemas, and there's even some points where people were trying to get permission in some of the independent cinemas to actually show it, just to give it that love. And I watched it a good few times on streaming, and when it came out on physical as well, man, I had to support it and buy it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people I know that just out of the film space, just personally, that they went out and bought the film because they were like, yeah, I want to own it. And yeah, I mean, I was so hyped about it as well. I remember when Forbidden Planet was having signing going on, and I managed to go there and meet Dan and Amber Midthunder. They were there actually. They signed the poster and everything.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was literally a packed event. You had people there that were just really looking forward to it, and it just delivered on everything. It's just even if you don't know the whole Predator franchise and you just went in blind and you saw this for the first time, I think people would fall in love with it, just because it's the intensity, the setting. How genuine it actually is in regards to the setting, and also when they gave it the different soundtrack as well.
Yes,
that actually that contributed a lot towards it, and it had so many people recognizing the indigenous people. It did a lot for them, and I think for the franchise as well, after the disappointment we had with the previous film. I think it was literally like, if this is going to be shit, just give up. Well, I don't care if you're making any more. It doesn't matter what actor you bring in it. And what's so great about it is Amber Midthunder wasn't really known. She's and the film did so well. So by making one and if it is in like a cyberpunk type of setting, it's going to be like Predator 2 but futuristic. I mean, with the setting. So you could just imagine the aesthetic that it's going to be raining down. He's going to be jumping off them buildings. We're going to see people with the futuristic weapons. They're going to be have their own enhancements, and the Predator's going to have a hard time, because if it's set in that era in the future, and people can actually go all cyberpunk on themselves. That it's going to be sick. A lot of room for creativity. And in regards to Prey 2, I reckon that's good, because the thing is, if you do a sequel to Prey, right, and you're going to release it, it's going to be like, right, okay, we have it in this setting. To some people it might get boring. To us, we'll probably fucking love it. But I think it's good the way they're doing it. They're giving us a futuristic take, and then they're going to give a sequel to the one that was released a couple of years ago. You know, just to mix it up a bit. I think that's probably like the strategy that they're kind of going for. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Especially with the new, especially with the new wave of Predator comics as well, doing really well. I think you know, like Paul said, listen, if this film does well, the Alien film does well, and then this film comes out and it does really well, people can't really shit on Disney, man. You can't. It's, you know, they interfere, but what company doesn't? But then again, if they know that, you know, they got faith in the people that are going to be delivering, I mean, keep giving it to me, man. Keep giving it to us, as long as it's fucking good. You know, we get the entertainment aspect out of it, and we get another installment to add to the awesome pile of films. You know.
Yeah. Instead of bringing Hugh Jackman back for Secret Wars that he might be in, let's bring him back for a Predator versus Wolverine film, man. Hasn't there just been a comic book that's been recently released?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get into that. But yeah, guys, I'll be looking forward to this one. Hopefully, in this future one with Elle Fanning, although I did like the score in Prey, you need to give me that classic Alan Silvestri score back, man, 100%. All right, guys, we'll move on to our next topic here. Right. Just a quick one. So it's sort of been revealed that Marvel might have a director for Avengers 5. Is it? Yeah, Avengers 5. And it's someone we know. It is Shawn Levy, who is directing Deadpool and Wolverine. So apparently Shawn Levy is top choice to direct Avengers 5. I just want to read this little segment from this article on IGN. According to a separate report today from The Hollywood Reporter, Marvel had quietly offered the job to Levy in mid-March, but he turned it down then due to his work as an executive producer and director on the 5th and final season of Netflix's Stranger Things, which will last into the next year. The studio, however, has reportedly pushed Avengers 5 back by several months, opening the door for Levy to step back into the mix. So, okay, as far as this guy's work I've seen, I think was he involved in the Adam Project? That was okay. That was an all right little science fiction film with Ryan Reynolds. I didn't mind that. Free Guy, I wasn't huge on. I can't lie. The missus loved that one, but it just wasn't for me. Just a bit too light and fluffy in all areas, that one for me. But as far as Avengers 5 goes, look, this guy probably is just like super easy to get on with, and I imagine Ryan Reynolds is going to have a pretty big part in Marvel MCU for the next couple of years. Think as far as box office goes, it'll be Deadpool and Wolverine that probably save the entire year. So that'll obviously make Marvel very happy. I'm sure they're going to utilize Ryan Reynolds absolutely as much as they possibly can. And, you know, if they've offered this the director's gig to Shawn Levy mid-March, you know, that they're obviously pleased with how Deadpool and Wolverine has turned out. Do you know what I mean? Because that's obviously early doors. We're like the third month in the year there. So Marvel have obviously seen, you know, cuts of the film and stuff like that. And they're just like, yeah, this is obviously the guy for us. And there was an article that came out as well a little bit after this saying that like it's reported that there's going to be all these returning characters coming back for Avengers 5. Now, obviously from the trailers that we've seen for Deadpool and Wolverine, there's a shit ton of characters in that film. Like there's a lot of returning X-Men characters coming in from like 20 years ago, old X-Men, X2 United, Last Stand and all that. So you know, maybe this guy is good at handling large amounts of actors on the same set and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just maybe spitballing here, but yeah, I haven't really got that much to say about this. All this tells me is that Deadpool and Wolverine is a banger, because they wouldn't be offering this guy the gig. And to be fair, it looks like they've pretty much held out for him. All the stars have aligned, obviously all the pushbacks, the writers' strike and whatnot. So yeah, this seems like a good choice for me. I know there was a lot of chat online, people saying they wanted the Russos back and stuff like that, but I think ever since the Avengers films, the Russos haven't had a massive hit on the hands, unfortunately. So I wouldn't be putting all my confidence back with them. I think Avengers 5 going forward need a new flavour, 100%. And it looks like we might be getting this with Shawn Levy. But yeah, guys, just quick thoughts on this one. Paul, go to you first, mate. What are your thoughts on this one? Would this guy be a good director for Avengers 5, do you think?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. They're very happy with Deadpool and Wolverine, so they've given the a bit like what they did with the Russos, wasn't it? They give us, did they do Winter Soldier and then Civil War? And you can have these two Avengers movies if you want as well, and they knocked it out of the park with them. Listen, Marvel's a bit all over the place at the moment. Well, they're not all over the place. They're sort of getting their act back together. You know, they've come out with statements saying they're going back to the drawing board. They're releasing less shows, less movies. They're going back to quality over quantity. I'm just all eyes on Deadpool and Wolverine at the moment. I'm as much. A few years ago, I was all Marvel. Where they're going, what they're doing, where they're going. And I think they're holding their cards close to the chest at the moment. They're not really giving us a lot of information about where they're going. I think they're solely focusing on Deadpool and Wolverine, which is what they should be doing. They need to get people back on board with Marvel, especially more the casual fans. You know, the sweaties like me and Tarek, maybe even you two guys as well. You'll probably still all check them out until they stop making them. But we're under no disillusion that people are jumping off the train and, you know, have jumped off the train and aren't going in droves to watch them anymore. So we'll see what happens with Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that's going to absolutely make bang. I think that movie is going to make a lot of money. Like the ticket sales have been ridiculous. Apparently the websites were breaking everything day one. Yeah, I'm not. I think I'm going to go AM. Well, I don't think I'll have to book a ticket, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too cautious. Yeah, AM.
Do you mean
10 a.m.? It's like a 10 a.m. showing when everyone's in school or whatnot.
I thought you were meaning AM, like the midnight showing. You know, like
no. Yeah, the midnight showing will be sold out 100%.
I booked like the first day, but like in the evening, and it's already like.
Yeah, I can imagine the evening shows.
All the good seats are away. It's all the flanking ones. The IMAX one, but
I think Wolverine. I think Deadpool are going to smash it. I think that's going to make a hell of a lot of money in terms of a new. I don't even know when this is Avengers movie. I don't know where they're going with it. I don't think they know where they're going with it just yet. I think they're banking on Deadpool and Wolverine. I think they're banking on Fantastic Four, and then once they start getting a few hits, they can see where a new Avengers movie can fit into the slate and the timeline. But I've just gone off on a massive tangent when pretty much you nailed it on the head straight away, Alice. The reason they've given it on because I think they're happy with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, definitely. Tarek, how are you feeling about Deadpool and Wolverine? And do you think, even though we haven't seen the film yet, do you think this is a good choice for a new Avengers film?
Yeah, Deadpool, Wolverine. I think it's safe to say that we're all looking forward to the film. It's going to be one hell of a fun ride. You know, if you're going to go in and then, you know, people are like, okay, yeah, I want this, I want that. Listen, it's Deadpool and it's Wolverine, right? You got the two opposites, and it's just going to be really great to see them on screen together. First and foremost, it's just going to be a lot of fun. And then then everything else that they throw in to me is secondary. I want to see these two characters on the screen. Everything else secondary, and wherever it leads. Excuse me, bloody hell. Wherever it leads afterwards, you know, and they're all talking about secret wars, right? This is where it's like kind of building up. So, and then when they talk about, you know, Avengers 5, yeah, they are doing some serious groundwork. And I've got a real strong feeling if they do give it to what's his name, Levy, Levy.
Levi or Levy? I'm going with
Yeah.
Levy now, but someone.
All right, we'll go with Levy. I reckon, yeah, definitely. It's just like the Russos smashed it with Winter Soldier, and then they were given a bigger job to bring all these Avengers against each other in Civil War, and then they gave us two brilliant comic book films. I think they were the ones, the Russos were responsible for actually, how shall I say, keeping the MCU there, like that standard.
Mhm.
Yeah, they haven't had any hits and everything now, but I've read a lot that they're actually buying a rights to a lot of novels. So they're looking to either make films or series out of these certain like murder mystery, serial killer type of stories that have come out, and that's why I think they're going to be hired as consultants. You know how there was reports saying that what's his name? So James Gunn was a consultant. Jon Favreau's been a consultant on near enough all of the MCU films. And I think this is what he's got a lot of help. But he has got a lot of help and a lot of support. And if he is brought on board, it'll be really interesting to see what he can do. But he's got a lot of work on his hands, man. And it's a make or break. That's an Avengers film. Let's just face it, it's an Avengers film. It's not an individual comic book movie. It's an Avengers film. How are you going to actually deliver the new Avengers film and just smash it? How are you going to bring everything
Especially
together?
coming off them last two as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's Marvel. I think they're definitely doing a better job now. I think Feige just got I think he got pissed off that everything, it was like like the quantity over the quality aspect.
Yeah.
And even with the Chris Hemsworth coming out and saying, I think I'm a victim of myself. I did too much improv. But who allowed that? That's the question. Yeah. With Thor: Love and Thunder, I know some people love it just for the sake of loving it, but I think it should be deleted. Like I'm sorry, man, it's dog shit, and it should be deleted. And from Ragnarok, you had the humor and stuff, but it had some really standout moments in it, right? And then you get Love and Thunder. It's like, what happened? Was Feige even on set at any point to actually see what was going on? I think he wasn't. I think people just fucking took over and just like, we're just gonna do whatever we're gonna do, but I'm being trusted with it. Yeah, we'll get away with it, and just had a laugh. Got paid millions, but the film didn't do shit. And it's like everyone's like, oh, what the hell's Marvel doing? And I think Kevin Feige just thought, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he even said as well, like, I'm gonna throw a fucking towel in. I'm out, man.
I think he had a time out behind closed doors a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't know about it, but maybe last year and the year before. Basically,
So the whole thing about Alice. The whole thing about Daredevil, the series as well, Born Again, got scrapped. What they were doing, and then Feige said, no, it wasn't good enough, so we're going to take it back.
I love that.
It's and now everything we're hearing about it, we've hardly seen anything of it, but we know the big hitters of the year. John Bernthal's back as a Punisher, and he even said, I won't come back unless it is the Punisher that I know and that I've played. Okay. Yeah, they could give him a fat paycheck, but I think he loves that character too much to just say, yeah, I'll just do it for the money. He's not a Tom Hardy. He's not going to do a Tom Hardy thing on this, because he knows that if he does do a Tom Hardy thing, people are just going to say, you're a load of rubbish, mate, and keep playing, secondary characters. And he's coming back for it, and it's just great, when you hear these things, and that's what coming out next year.
Start of the year, start 2025.
Start of the year, and I think Deadpool and Wolverine is the only film from Marvel this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's how. Just do it like that, man. Just do it like that, and keep hitting us with some surprises. But yeah, sorry to go off a little too much, but yeah, I think there's a Levy's definitely going to have a lot of support, and they wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, if he can bring all these characters together, man, it'll be really, really, really good for bringing those bums in seats again, you know, and getting it back on top.
Yeah. With Marvel, I think slow and steady wins a race. Just bring it back a little bit, pull it back a little bit. Andy, what are you saying about Shawn Levy maybe directing Avengers?
Yeah, I think you covered it well, or at least the thought behind it. I think you've covered well. That I think Marvel, that's what they did with the Russos, didn't they? They just let's have a look at the films that people like the most, and then give the finale to whoever seems to hit the home runs the most, and it worked for them with the first Avengers films, or the finales. So it kind of makes sense. Looking at his filmography, Free Guy, I know you said it was a bit fluffy and stuff, but I thought it was all right, and it's got that kind of Marvel tone. Free Guy, family friendly, mainstream tone. The Adam Project was actually quite surprisingly quite good. He did Real Steel as well, which had Hugh Jackman in it, so that you can see how it came about that he's doing Deadpool and Wolverine. So he also directed episodes of Stranger Things, and he's got more to come. So he's got a pedigree and a strike rate for sure. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I think that just like you say, I think Marvel just got. I think they were just directionless after Endgame. It doesn't matter how talented Feige is and all the people involved. I don't think they knew what to do. And then COVID hit and streaming became massive. This will go on nicely to the box office topic, but like streaming became massive and it became feed the machine, and that's where the quantity came from, because it was like Disney own this now and we want this platform to succeed, so let's just start churning out as much as we can to get people subscribing to this, which didn't work for them, and they nearly wasted it. But I think they've caught it just in time. I think that was the problem, and I think you're right with like Thor, Love and Thunder. I think they were throwing shit at the wall a lot just to see what works. It was like people love Ragnarok, Taika Waititi, so it was like, yeah, Taika, just take it away, mate, and we don't really know where we're going with this, so just do what you want, and hopefully it'll work out because people seem to like you. It didn't work out because it was probably directionless. Like, what was the plan off the back of that?
That's the thing, man.
Did anyone know where they were going off the back of that? No, they didn't, because it was just a case of let's gauge the audience reaction.
And having Christian Bale play that character Gore as well. What a great actor, playing such a big character and going nowhere with it.
No.
It was like, what? No.
It was a car crash, Love and Thunder. Total car crash.
But it's like anything. The amount of films that they churned out and had success with, like, no one keeps that in any profession, be it movie making or in sport. Nobody can keep a run like that up. You're eventually going to have a wobble. You need a change. I think you're absolutely right. People want the Russo brothers back, which I get, because they're just looking at what they love. Yeah. Civil War, Endgame, and all that. Like, just get them back, it'll be fine. But it won't, because we've done that. It needs to be a fresh take. It needs to be something new. So I think it's the right call.
It's a bit like in actual comic books when the companies just like go, boom, right, we're restarting. We're getting new writers in, new artist teams to get all these characters, start again. And that's what they need to do. And I feel like this is what this Deadpool movie is. I think it's going to be.
Reset.
Issue 1, a reset, if you like, of Marvel. I really do believe that's what this film's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's get into the box office. Is this the end of the world? Is the world ending right now? Why are films not making any money? Right. So Furiosa comes out last week. I think we can all agree, pretty banging film. So can someone let me know, for its opening weekend, why on earth is it only making 26 mil? That is opening weekend. So it was a Memorial weekend as well over in the States. So I think they had an extra day, I think. But with that extra day, it ended up making 32. So we'll just keep it as the weekend. 26 it's made, opening weekend, and the following weekend just gone, it's managed to top 10 mil for the weekend. So that's like a 60% drop from week 1 to week 2. What the hell is going on, guys? Why are people not going out to the cinema? This has obviously started when The Fall Guy was released. I think some would argue that maybe is the first big film of the summer. But I wouldn't say it bombed, but it certainly did not make the money that they were expecting it to make. I think that was around 20 mil opening weekend as well. But a film like Furiosa, which in my head is a staple film. Like there's three main films I was looking forward to this year was Dune Part 2, Joker, and Furiosa. They're the three biggies for me this year. And I thought like, oh, it's a no-brainer. They're all going to make a shit ton of money. I'd have lost so much money if you were like, yeah, how much money do you think it's going to make? I was like, oh, well, easy, 45 easy. Do you know what I mean? But no, not at all. I know some people have come out and sort of said, oh, which is true. Like Fury Road didn't make a lot of money, but it did make like 40 to 45 million that opening weekend, you know, and people were saying that wasn't that good of an opening weekend. But back in 2015, I think we were at the height of the sort of fandom in all sorts of aspects, whether it was Star Wars, Marvel, DC, whatever. Mm-hmm. These tentpole films were making billions, and it was just like next $1 billion film added to the billion club, another one. It was insane. So I think we've got a bit of a skewed opinion of what the box office is like in reality, off them numbers back then. But then the pandemic hits. And I think Warner Brothers are such a big part of this whole thing because by them releasing Day and Day, so releasing Dune Part 1 to obviously it wasn't. Was it the same for us? Was it the same for us? No. Dune got released in cinemas for us over here, but the fact that they were putting cinema films,
didn't they put it on Max? Did they put it on a streaming service same day?
They put it on Max day
America,
one. In America, yeah. But to me, that is mind bending. It's mind blowing. Like imagine back in the day, Spider-Man 2, you know, like 2004, whatever it is. That's going to be coming on ITV at 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? But you got to pay like 20 quid for it. There'd be a lot of people that do it, and I think people have got so used to being at home watching these films on their amazing TVs and stuff now. Like, you know, a good TV is sort of 10 a penny now. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to spend a lot to get a really good setup at home these days. I know we're going through hard times, inflation, stuff like that. But in my eyes, take my cinema, for instance, View. The ticket is £5. Mm-hmm. They're not going to lower it any more than £5. Like, no. To me, that's pretty cheap as it is. So I really don't understand what's going on. I think the most people I've seen in a cinema for the last couple of years was when I did the whole Barbenheimer event thing last year. So we went to see Oppenheimer and Barbie. Like, that cinema was absolutely insane. It did feel like we were back in the old days of going to watch the Avengers opening night and stuff like that, and you've got a crowded theatre at 12 o'clock. We're just not in that time frame anymore, in that sort of frame of mind. But yeah, I don't know if it's ticket prices, guys. Like, to me, they're just not that expensive. Like, they're really not. I think like £5 to me isn't like a deal breaker. I might be way off here. Like, I am one half of this podcast that does not have any children, so I'm not taking like 3 kids to the cinema. Do you know what I mean? Then it's changing. Then the price is changing. I get it. But Andy, I know you've got a giant monologue prepared for us when it comes to this box office. I know you've been dying to tell us what the crack is. You know the secrets. Why is no one going to cinema?
No, I don't know the secrets, but I just think it's as I said to you guys in text, it's a hot tatty at the moment, as we call in Scotland. Like, it's a trending topic, and rightly so, because it's worrying. It's worrying for us movie lovers. It's worrying for the industry, and in a wider extent, like the arts going forward, because it's going to dictate what we get, what we don't get, and shape type of movies and type of content that's made. So I think it's something that's really worth talking about, and I'm keen to know what your guys' thoughts are on it. But yeah, I think the box office thing. I think to start off is like, when did it become a thing? Is it just me who thinks that box office being reported is a kind of modern thing? Like, I don't remember growing up, or even 5-10 years ago, I don't remember media reporting about how much something's made within going, oh my god, this movie's only made this in the first weekend,
The
or
first
this
time
movie's
I
made that. You know, it's
first time I started hearing about box office sort of punditing was the John Campea show, and him. That's when I first started on the internet. I started hearing people reporting how much money films were making and stuff like that. So it's probably been like the last maybe 5 or 6 years they've been doing it on the internet. But it's like the big film, reviewers, not reviewers, like pundits who talk about like up and coming things and how much money movies are making. So it's. I feel like it's only been around for like the last maybe half a decade.
yeah, because I don't think I don't ever remember anyone who like in the out with the last like 5 years. It's certainly still not happening with casual movie fans. They are not talking about box office. They're not saying, they're not going, Eurus has only took 20 million, so I don't think I'll bother going to see that. Must be shit. Like this is, but that's the media's pushing that and fueling that fire, which isn't helping.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, because moviegoers don't care. They pick something they want to go and see. They go and see it. They're entertained or they're not. They don't give a shit how much it's making. That shouldn't be a concern of the consumer. At the end of the day, that's for the studios and stuff. But yeah, it's became this big thing. But it's just so worrying, and I think there's many reasons as to why box office is dying. But sadly, it is a money game with these things. And as we just talked about there, off camera, like Furiosa is a good starting point because, as we know, George Miller has already got a script for Mad Max: The Wasteland, which is a kind of continuation / prequel, whatever you want to call it, to Fury Road, but it's centered around Max, which would probably tie the new trilogy together. But he's already said, and I've seen him in numerous interviews saying, people have asked him about The Wasteland, and he said, well, we'll see how this does. And he's basically alluded to the fact that nothing's set in stone. It will depend how well this movie does. So you can pretty much, looking at it just now, sitting at, according to IMDb, Furiosa is sitting at 118 million. It's not even made back its estimated budget yet, and that's before you factor in marketing costs and all that. So I don't see it happening. And if it does happen, it might happen as it'll be something that's less risk averse financially. So it'll end up being a 8-part series on like Apple or Netflix or Disney or something like that. It will not be a cinematic event because they won't trust it again. They won't trust the franchise at the box office, which is a shame. But I could talk about this all day, so I'll put it out to someone else. But like, what are you guys like? What do you guys think the reason for the box office decline has been? Why are people not like going to the cinema anymore? Do you guys think?
Tarek, you go for it, man. You go for it, because you've been to see Garfield with, is it your son? Just to put it into sort of perspective though, like, is that an expensive deal? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's...
You know what? The animation in Garfield is like I was watching something that was about, I won't even say 10 years ago, because some Pixar stuff and some Illumination stuff from 10 years ago is still good. Like, this felt like something that should have been like how the Saturday morning cartoons are now.
Right.
But it was just like an hour and a half. Even my kid was bored. Like I showed Paul a picture of my son Sammy's. I just said, like, looking at the screen, like, what am I actually watching? And that's a 3-year-old. And so me, sometimes I get a kick out of watching these animation films, but it was like, I don't know. And the thing is that the screening, the auditorium was kind of packed, and I was like, wow, okay, fair enough. But then, I don't know. It's a real tricky situation, because I work with a lot of people who I can't talk to about films, about stuff that I like. And funny enough, even music, because half of the time people are like, what's that? I never heard of it. And so if they see a trailer or the advertisement on the side of a bus or something like that. In all honesty, they're probably thinking Furiosa looks really fucking strange, and they don't want to watch that. If you think about it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
think about we think about Dune 2. How much did that make? Like,
Just over 700 million.
Not a huge
highest
amount.
It's the highest earner this year, though.
yeah, and so, but that's a sci-fi film. Yeah, it aesthetically, it looks cool as fuck. And everything about it, it's got a following. Mad Max has a following as well, but with you put Chris Hemsworth in the film, you think, okay, are people going to go watch it for this guy? Apparently not now. Numbers are showing it, right? But another thing, what happens with films, how it's been happening recently with, I think it's safe to say, with about 80% of the films that will come out in cinema, within a month or even at that, it's available to buy digitally. Yeah. And then what happens with that, when it's available to buy digitally, there are people who wait for the people to purchase that, and then they can go illegally stream it online in 4K. So, and then they're blaming that, films aren't doing too good. It's because you're taking off cinemas too quick. It's because you no longer get, let's be honest, you no longer get a fucking stream online that has got a camera in front of the fucking screen and it's like this. You don't get that anymore.
You don't need it.
Wait a month. Yeah. You wait a month and you're like, I'm going to watch it in 4K now. It's like Monkey Man that came out to purchase digitally. I swear it was like 3 weeks after.
3 weeks. 3 weeks after it at the cinemas.
And you think to yourself,
you used to have to wait 3 months.
Yeah. What difference would it have made if it just came out on Netflix how it was supposed to? Like, seriously, in all honesty, what difference would it have made? Right. Yes. And this is the era that we're living in. So either people want to watch something that is a biopic, right? Oppenheimer. And then, people want to watch something, Barbie. Barbie got like the utmost marketing. It was crazy. It was everywhere. You couldn't be, I'm sorry to say, you couldn't be taking a shit and check your phone without Barbie popping up everywhere. Right? Well, what am I looking at Barbie for? So, and then this whole thing that they, that rival thing that they did, that helped a lot. And then Dune 2 came out, but Dune 2 sci-fi film, right? People are like, wow, this looks cool as fuck. I haven't seen the first one. I'm going to go watch the first one. Yeah, I want to watch the second one. If you, in all honesty, if you didn't grow up with Mad Max and you ain't used to that wasteland weird shit, inspired by Mad Max, that has all that weird shit, but they just cranked it up to 100 with heads exploding and all sorts of things, people would find it weird. They don't want to watch something weird. And even when I mention Mad Max, it's been around for ages. People don't even know. And you say, Mel Gibson. They're like, who? I'm like, oh, shit, good Lord. All right, I'm just going to stop. What are you watching at the moment? I'm watching the fucking Kardashians on Disney Plus. I'm like, is that why you have Disney Plus?
That's it, man.
Is that why you have Disney Plus? So you can watch that reality shit? The amount of stuff that's on there that is fucking good. Yeah, like I recently I caught up with the Planet of the Apes films. I was telling Paul about it, and they're on Disney Plus. But if there's a new Planet of the Apes film coming out, and people are like, "Oh, what's that about?" It's like, "Oh, do you have Disney Plus?" Yeah, I do. What the fuck are you like? You don't know about these films? They're on there. Watch it. Oh, I don't know. It's talking. It's talking monkeys. I'm like, why am I talking to people like? But it's just a sad thing. It's it's almost as though a film comes out and that's fingers crossed it makes good money so we can get another installment. And it's sad that it's got to that point. But and I'm sorry if I'm going on a little too much, but it's the whole thing about video games as well. Video games now have Hollywood level budgets for the games. Yeah, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, you don't need realistic games to sell." No, you do, because if you're pushing hardware, if you're promising a certain level of visual fidelity and acting and everything, right? The Last of Us wouldn't have done as good if it didn't look and play how it does. Yeah, no way, no way. Yeah, and people are going to come out. I forgot who it was. I won't mention the name, but I think Paul, you commented on it when I reposted it on Twitter about the guy saying, no, this isn't the case. You know, games are taking too long to come out, just like films. You know, we don't need it to be like that. What happened? Listen, it's the industry that we're in now. Yeah. So that unfortunately, I'm gonna wait for a game to go from 70 quid to 20 quid, and then I'm gonna buy it. It's the same with films.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for it to come on digital so I can just download it or just stream it. And if I like it, I'll buy it from CEX when it goes to about a tenner or even less. You know, it. What can you say, man? It's the era that we're living in right now, and it like you said, Andy, it's concerning for the industry. We want this. We want these films to succeed. We want to watch these films, but when you hear things are getting cancelled left, right, and center, you're like, why did I bother? You know. And when a film gets hyped up so much, you spend more on the marketing, and the film comes out and it's trash. You're like, so what happened? Films look too weird. I don't like that. It's not my kind of film. What kind of film do you like? I like gangster shit. I like realistic stuff. Isn't film supposed to be about escapism? That's me personally. I like my biopics and stuff, yeah. But the reason why we watch movies as opposed to films is because we want to escape. We watch Star Wars because it's escapism. It ain't real. We watch Marvel shit because it's escapism. It ain't real. Right? But it gives you that level of storytelling and some freedom for you to exercise your imagination. But with a lot of people, they just haven't got that. People will try to make sense out of Mad Max and Furiosa. They'll try to make sense out of it. How is that supposed to happen? How does that happen? Bruv, enjoy the ride. But it just isn't happening anymore.
I think
Yeah.
I think for me, like as well, I think you've touched on a lot of the points there, but just culturally things are changing and moving on, and COVID accelerated it massively. But there's like, do you not think there's an element as well of like, see back in like the 70s, 80s, 90s cinema, you didn't have immersive online gaming, you didn't have streaming, you barely had like home video. Never mind in the 70s, you know, unless you had like an 8mm projector or something like that, you're not really going to be watching VHS or anything. But now there's just so much choice between streaming, between, you know, music you can stream, all this reality TV, the sheer amount of content. You've got YouTube, you've got specific niche content being created on YouTube all the time. I just think cinema as a language, as an experience, is being drowned out, and it doesn't matter what they do. His voice isn't being heard, but it's a shame because it's like Blockbuster, it's like video rental, right? That's been gone now. That's been dead, and I get that. That was proper technological advancement that killed video rental. But everybody misses it now. Everybody's nostalgic about it. Netflix has created a show about it. Do you know what I mean? You've got people making businesses, like, people love it. People want to hark back to that, but nobody supported it or helped it when it was dying, and then they want it. I can see cinema sadly going that way, because it's getting to the stage where the only things that will be shown in a cinema are your Deadpool and Wolverines, which, yes, I'm excited to see that, and people will love that. You know, your big one or two films a year, massive things, or kids films where it's just like, God, I need to entertain these kids. Take them all here. Watch Garfield, absolute dog shit. Why are we still making Garfield movies? I don't know, but like, yeah, stick them in front of that, and that's when you'll get a packed cinema. You go and see. I went and see Bad Boys today. All right, it's Wednesday. It's a 2:00 screening. 6 people or something in there. Took my daughter to see If during the holidays. Again, 6 people. To the point that it's almost awkward because there's only 6 people. So like when my little girl talks, it's like absolutely deafening. But there's like, you know, there's 2 or 3 people that might be put off by that. But unless people get behind it and start supporting it, it's going to disappear. And I think there's not. I've been a Limitless member of Odeon this year, and it's changed my view a little bit on seeing things on the big screen. I was someone that used to say you only need to see action films, sci-fi. That's what you need to see in the big screen. Dramas, don't need to see them in the big screen. You know, totally changed my mind on that. It's massively different seeing, like, I've seen like Poor Things, Challengers. I'm trying to think what else I've seen, but I've seen some films that I would certainly in the past have gone, nah, that's a wait for streaming. I've watched Poor Things at home and I still loved it, but there was something about seeing it on the big screen just made it all the better. And when you see something on the big screen, you don't go on your phone, you don't get distracted. It's far too immersive to be distracted. Even when I watch stuff that I love at home, the old phone still comes out the pocket, still comes out. It's absolute habit. We're all addicted to phones, but for some reason, when you go into a cinema, I'm not saying everybody adheres to that rule, but people, because there's other people there, will, have that little bit of courtesy and not go into the phone, put it into airplane mode. You get the prompt at the beginning to turn your phone off, And I just think it's such a shame that it'll disappear. And I've been taking my daughter, and she knows what a cinema is. She knows what the cinema experience is. But how many other people are doing that as much, and that the new generation coming in isn't even going to know what a cinema is if we're not careful, and it's moving to it's becoming an isolated, insular thing where you just watch films and stuff in your own home on your own. You're not getting that shared community experience. I just think it's just worrying, and it's just the way the world is going. Everything's just getting all about convenience and all about doing it from your home, and I think it's such a telling sign of where culture's going. Modern day culture.
Yeah. For me, right, like example, like going back to Oppenheimer last year, right? It's a shame that we don't have more. So directors of this day and age don't have more clout. So I think Christopher Nolan's one of the last remaining directors where, so last year when he was releasing Oppenheimer with Universal, he was like, yeah, this ain't going on streaming within a month. It's not happening. Like, this will be in the cinema for 3 months. Then after that, there'll be another wait until it comes out on Blu-ray and 4K. And when he initially did, Universal did release the 4K for Oppenheimer, what happened? It sold out. Like, it sold out in US. There was like a shortage. Like, people were selling the 4K, just the normal 4K edition, not the Steelbook, for like double the price and stuff like that. So we can have both. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have the big, long cinema runs and, it's a Christopher Nolan film, but at the end of the day, it's a 3-hour talking film. Do you know what I mean? Like you were saying, Andy, like we went through this sort of strange, like, thing where we'd only go to the cinema to watch the big action epics and stuff like that. But Oppenheimer's it's a biopic. Do you know what I mean? And that made just under $1 billion, I think it was. Yes, it got there with the help of Barbie, and it got there with the help of just being a Christopher Nolan film. But still, I think it's something to take in consideration. My next little question is, do you think this is my opinion, but I'm just saying, do you think there's, like, with the amount of things that we do get, as you were saying, with the reality and the streaming services, and just, do you think there's a dilution in what we're getting film-wise in, like, how good they are? So the quality of the content that we get now, do you think there's been a dip, or do you think we're still getting high-quality films that we were getting 10 years when they were making $1 billion and stuff like that?
No, I don't think the quality is different whatsoever.
Me neither.
I've just got a few things up here. Just last year, Super Mario Brothers made $1 billion. Barbie made $1 billion. The year before, Top Gun Maverick made $1 billion. Spider-Man: No Way Home made $1 billion. Avatar 2 made $1 billion. There's still $1 billion. I think Deadpool Wolverine is going to do $1 billion. That's a guess. If I was to put a tenner down on it, I reckon that's going to be our $1 billion film of the year. Deadpool Wolverine. Could be wrong. I'm guessing. This is where I'm at with. First off, the Fall Guy, because that's where this news sort of started spreading within the film community. I thought the trailers for that looked terrible. I thought the trailers for that the trailers for Fall Guy did zip for me. Nothing. I could have easily waited to watch that at home. I didn't. I ended up going to the cinema. Didn't pay for it. Used the free cinema, Sky Cinema offer that they do. So got the free tickets. But I could have easily waited to go watch that. The marketing for that, I don't think was great. That's just my opinion. You guys might go, I thought the marketing was amazing. That's why I went to watch it. For me, it did nothing for me. So I think that's why that tanked, because it just didn't look that good. It was a good film. I enjoyed it. But I think the marketing didn't do very well for that. Furiosa, I said to you before we went live, Ellis, I think us as film fans are in are very disillusioned sometimes with movies, and I think we're to all, us four, and the film fans we talk to, we're a very small minority. We may think we're not, but we are very, very niche minority of fans. There's not many people I know in the real world. I know you guys that are movie fans. Do you know what I mean? I'm one. I've got loads of films behind me. My other friends, not many that I know. Do you know what I mean? I work with a lot of young people as well, younger demographic to me. I've never even heard of Mad Max. Never heard of it. I'm talking like 20-year-olds. Like, never heard of it. What did you do the weekend, Paul? Went to watch Furiosa. What's that? The new Mad Max. So, seen Fury Road? No, never heard of it. Like, and I know that's funny, but I think there's a lot of people out there who have not heard of it outside of our bubble. I'd be shocked if, I reckon I could get 50 random people in a room. I reckon over 50% have never even heard of it.
Mm.
I reckon. I might be wrong. That's just how my head works with it. But, so Furiosa, one of the best films of the year for me. It's a shame people aren't going to go and watch it. And I was shocked. I thought I was going to make money easy in my disillusional little head. But then I look at Dune 2, and the first Dune didn't do it didn't become like the new Lord of the Rings. Like, people say that it's the new Lord of the Rings. It ain't. It didn't do. No. It's not the new Lord. Like, every fucker on planet Earth knows what Lord of the Rings is. Yeah. Not everyone knows what Dune is. So when Dune 2 was coming out, and I went opening morning, 9 a.m. IMAX, it was sold out. 9 a.m. in the morning. I've never seen that before outside of like a Marvel film. And I remember me and Luke, my friend Luke, you guys know, walking in, they was like, Jesus Christ, like, it's packed. It's 9 a.m. in the morning. Like, people can still taste the toothpaste. And this film's packed out. And I didn't expect that from Dune 2. Not at that time in the morning. I presumed in the late showings it was going to be rammed, but not at 9 a.m. in the morning. So it's weird. It's like people are turning up films I didn't think they would, and not turning up for films that I thought they might have. It's a weird one. But in terms of the films that are doing really well, the Marvel films are always, even though they're dipping down. But when I talk to people in work and just, a bit of a younger demographic, you'd be surprised how sort of in out of tune they are with movies. Like, they're just not bothered about them. Like, they're more arsed. I see them on the break just scrolling through TikTok like drones, like, just not arsed, not bothered. Do you know what I mean? And they'll be like, oh, what have you seen that new film on Netflix? Have you watched that new film on that Atlas with Jennifer Lopez in? I was like, no, I've fucking no intention of watching that absolute drivel of a movie. But to the outside world, that's the #1 trending film on Netflix. That's the best thing happening in the world at the moment. It's weird. And I think it is a part of us as film fans being a bit disillusioned to what is hip and what is in at the moment in terms of entertainment, compared to what it actually is in the people who don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, mate. I think you make it. I think you've maybe kind of said what I was trying to say better there, and that's what I meant when I said, is the cinema going experience dated now? Is it something that's just not like?
It's just not cool anymore.
I mean, I will say, I don't get how big a telly you've got, how much you spent on it, how big your surround sound system is. Nothing beats the big screen cinema experience. Nothing. You do not get the same experience watching a film at home than you do on the cinema. It's completely two different things to me. And like you said, you get distracted. Even I'm actively trying not to go on my phone. I turn it upside down, and I'm like, I'm watching this start to finish. I'm not getting distracted. I will somehow. Something will distract me in them 2 hours. Whereas I'm watching it at the cinema, the only thing that will distract me is if I've got a bit of an annoying audience around me. But if I haven't, I'm locked in whatever I'm watching for 2 hours. Don't touch my phone. I'm not looking to the side. I'm locked in for 2 hours. So,
hey, Matt,
go on.
Oh no, I was just going to ask you. Like, you said you went to a sold out screening of Dune 2. I'm pretty sure mine was the same when I seen it in IMAX on day one. Like, I think it was the earliest IMAX show in Glasgow. How much do you think that adds to it when you're surrounded by a community of people watching it?
At 9 a.m., I knew I was in a room with people who were fans of it and wanted to watch that film. It's the same when you go to a midnight screen, and I went to watch the Force Awakens midnight screening. I knew I was in a room. It was sold out. I knew I was in a room completely with Star Wars fans. And the second that, a long time ago in a galaxy, you could hear a pin drop. Like there was not a sound. There was not one distraction from start to finish.
And I think that really adds to it. And you don't, and it's the strangest thing, because I don't mean at the end I want to take them all to the pub and sit and talk to them all night, or talk to them all the way through it. But just that sense of like community when you're watching it, like you say, especially if it's an early show and you know that it's going to be people like us that are appreciating it. But I just think it feels more like an event. It's like what Tarek said earlier, and like what you said, like you've not got any mates that are like film fans kind of thing. You've got you kind of have company, and that their film. You don't have to necessarily talk to them, but when you look around and you're like, that's amazing, and you look and you glance and you see all these other people sitting glued to it, it makes it feel like you're not crazy, and that you're like, look at the people that are so sitting glued to this. This is an event. This is a cinematic event. I'm witnessing something here. This is amazing. Whereas when you're and don't get me wrong, sometimes it can be nice when you're just the only person in cinema, and it can feel nice in another way. But sometimes for me, like today when I was watching Bad Boys, I was like, I was laughing to myself and that, but I actually felt silly because I'm like, I'm laughing and kind of out loud in an empty room at something like, and it took away from it that like there's nobody else here to laugh at it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the whole point of this is you're looking around and you're seeing 200 seats with nobody in them, and it makes you feel like you're a daft for coming to see it. You're like everybody else here. I'm just an old fud now because everybody else realizes that like this isn't cool anymore. You just watch this when it comes out to streaming. Apart from me sitting in this, you know what I mean? It just.
But even when you're talking about films like say like Challengers or Civil War or Monkey Man, I know before they even hit the cinemas that people aren't going to go out and watch them. I know fully well. People don't know them films. I could go ring me best mate now and go, have you heard of that film Challengers? No, never have a clue what it is. But we know what it is because we're in that space. Like, do you know what I mean? Like them sort of films, like them lower independent ones, I just will not make a lot of money. I don't think. Them sort of films, even though we have said, I think you Andy said about Challengers, you appreciate that film a lot more because you watched it on the big screen. But them sort of films, they are running a risk putting them trying to earn box office rather than just going straight to streaming, which is a shame because they're the sort of films I feel like you need in the cinema. Lower budget films to really good lower, but the high rated ones as well. But people just aren't going to see them. They're not bothered.
That's just like The Creator last year.
Yeah.
I fucking love that film. It was actually my favorite film last year. And then when it wasn't even doing that, too good at the box office, but then you saw that it didn't even have that high of a budget, and they managed to make such a bloody good film. And then when it comes out, I'm like saying to everyone, yeah man, The Creator's out on Disney Plus, man, you lot should watch it. Like, what's that? It's like, yeah, so it's fucking right there on the main page when you open up Disney Plus. Yeah, but I don't like that sci-fi stuff. Oh, I don't like it. It's about robots, and I'm like, no, it's got more to it than that. Come on,
I think
it's seriously now. It really feels, and it's becoming apparent that a lot of people are just lacking the imagination. Like I said, the opportunity to exercise your imagination. Like you said, people just fucking
it's TikTok. Yeah,
I was literally going to say. I think a lot of younger people as well now. They'll only go watch something for FOMO. If it's like trending on social media, FOMO's fear of missing out. Andy, you're looking confused there, man.
No, I know what FOMO is, mate.
Oh right, sorry. I said it and you were like, hey. So I think a lot of films, the ones that are making a lot of money, bringing people in is, it's all over their social media, and everyone, all their friends are talking about it on social media. And even though if they don't give a shit about it, they'll go check it out just to be in with, with what's trending. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. Do you know what I mean? I was like, why did you go and watch that? Because all my mates were talking about it on TikTok or whatever. I'm like, if that's what it needs to get butts in the sea, whatever.
This is maybe why Dune Part 2 made like quite a bit of money, because the two main leads in that, you've got Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, who maybe is part of that TikTok like demographic culture. Do you know what I mean? So like when the kids are going on TikTok, they're seeing Timothée Chalamet go a few slides over, or Zendaya down, Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
It might be one of them. Do you know what I mean? So. Because it's doing Part 2, making a lot of money is just sort of bizarre for me a little bit. I know it's epic to us lot, but for the wider audience, like my brother watched it the other night. He watched Part 1 and Part 2. He was like, "Oh, great, absolutely brilliant." I had no fucking idea what's going on in them though. I was like, "Yeah, that's fair enough." But I don't know, guys. I don't know. We've spent quite a lot of time on the box office. We do need to move along. Got one last little segment we need to get in here. We'll move on to our Mad Max tier list. Is that all right, guys?
Yeah.
So I'll just get this one up. We'll fly through this one a little bit. Okay. Share screen. All right, guys. I will kick us off with Mad Max 79. So, for me, Mad Max 79, awesome little movie. For me personally, it's more influential than it is a sick film. Don't get me wrong. It's got great sort of action, realistic action and stunts. Like, there's a really good documentary that I've forgotten the name of it now, but it's a documentary on this first Mad Max film and basically what they went through to get this film made. This was, like they mention in the documentary, guerrilla style filmmaking. So, they're not ringing the council up and saying, "Oh, can we have the A66 down the road just for like 10 minutes?" They're like, "Well, just knock it off," and like, like savage way of making a film. Awesome. Quite funnily enough, with this film, it starts off the trend of Mad Max not being the main character of the film. So it's a bit of a weird one. Like when I watched this the other week, we watched it. Goose, who plays his best friend in the first Mad Max film, it's basically his film for the first 40 minutes. Like, it's insane. He's the more interesting character out the two of them. He's the more charismatic one out the two of them in that first one. It only really becomes Mel's film after Goose ends up in an accident, basically. But then we get a lot of V8 action that is sorely missing in the bloody rest of the franchise. We get a little bit of it in the Road Warrior, but as far as the first Mad Max film goes, I would rank it as B, which might be a bit of a hot take, but I'd put it in B. More influential than I enjoy. This would actually be ranked last in my ranking, but that doesn't mean to say that I don't enjoy it. I enjoy all of these films. It's just the other ones bring a lot more to the game than the first original Mad Max. But I will say, yeah, the influentialness is awesome. Toe Cutter, who obviously comes back as Martin Joe later on, same actor, different character though, obviously, is awesome in that first movie, but we just don't get a lot of him. But yeah, I mostly enjoy Mad Max. Most of the action sort of comes in that last little bit of it, but the one thing that I always took away from the OG Mad Max was the yellow police cars. That was the first thing that ever stuck in my brain from the Mad Max franchise. I remember watching Mad Max way too young, and the only thing I took from it was the yellow cars. It's quite hilarious as well as like how iconic this poster is, and it's bloody Goose on the front of it, not Max. So, but yeah, Andy, I'll go to you first for Mad Max 79. Where would you rank it? How do you feel about it?
A tier. Straight away.
8 tier. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, see, I like this franchise. I don't really think there's a bad film in there. So they're not all as good as each other, but I like it. I mean, you've got to remember, 79. That was what, you're pushing 40 years ago. For its time, it was effectively an exploitation film, an exploitation film, Mad Max, like low budget B movie. But there hadn't really been many dystopian takes on the world, certainly not based in it, like in Australia, from Australia's perspective. So, and a lot of what George Miller set up in this first movie is came to be like what there probably is such a thing as a wasteland subgenre. And they all take their cues from what George Miller did. Like, seen a lot of movies that have taken like whenever it's kind of like it's dystopian, but it's that kind of primal back to basics. You can always tie it back to like Mad Max and Mad Max 2, like the production design of it in many ways. So I think it deserves a lot of credit for how original it was. I'm jumping ahead here, but it's just to give context. But like, I think the worst in the franchise is Thunderdome. I think it's an absolute. I think it's a snooze fest after. After Bartertown, it really struggles to hold my attention. But it's great that it exists, because we got Bartertown, we got Tina Turner, we got that amazing song, and we got 2 men enter, 1 man leave, and all that. So it's worth it from that point of view. But it's a boring film thereafter. It's got a really anticlimactic finish. But I would watch Mad Max, the original Mad Max. I think it's got more charm. It's got more of an interesting character arc, because we have Max as a clean-cut cop who's concerned about his family and all the rest of it. And by the end, we've got the beginnings of like a deranged guy with extreme PTSD about to go out into a world that's going to shit. And it sets the stage beautifully for the Road Warrior. But thereafter, Max has been seriously needing some character development thereafter. He's been frozen in time, and they just keep repeating the same arc. So Road Warrior has had a bit of redemption by the end, but then it doesn't seem to carry over into Thunderdome, and we just get another kind of similar redemption story. And then guess what happens in Fury Road? Another like similar, like kind of like, there's not a lot of growth. It's just the same thing where it's like this guy that's lost his humanity gets a little bit back by the end. This guy that's lost his humanity gets a little bit back by then. Lost his humanity, so. I would hope if The Wasteland came about, there would be substantial growth to where Max gets back to like Max being a all-out good guy again, but the second coming of that guy, now with all the skill set and everything that he had. So I've given you my kind of feeling on them all there, but that's why I think it's up there, because as far as character arc goes, it's the most interesting of them all, in my opinion.
Yeah, I won't argue with that. I won't argue with it. Paul, what are we saying on the Mad Max 79?
I love Mad Max franchise. It's a weird fact. Like the continuity through it, it's fucking dreadful. Like, it's such a mad continuity. Like, it's crazy, man. Yeah, I watched these out of order. So I think I watched Road Warrior. I think out of the original trilogy, I watched this one. I feel like I watched it last out of the 3. I'd go Vandy. I do think it's A though. It's a very short film. I think it's shy 90 minutes, and but it just flies through. It's like such a quick film. It's fast paced. I feel like I always similarized Mad Max to The Punisher. I think they've got like a similar sort of origin sort of story. Family gets killed, goes on a revenge sort of thing. Yeah. As much as I love I do love the original film. I think the posters are dead icon. I love that one when he's got the double barrel shotgun with the glasses on. Love that poster. Love the car chases, like you said, guerrilla style. These guys were practically nearly killing themselves for these stunts. Like there was no safety nets or anything. They were they were doing some crazy stuff they couldn't get away with now in filmmaking whatsoever. I love the ending to it. I love the even though it's a short sort of like last 15 minutes, I just love his little revenge thing he goes on at the end. Yeah, I like this film. I really do. I would go A with it.
You're going to go A? Tarek, where are we at with the first Mad Max? I'm gonna
Um,
rank it.
I just go straight in. I say definitely an A. For me. The first time I saw these films is we used to get this kind of like this at the back of like newspaper. There used to be like this little catalog, and they used to like sell these books and these box sets of films. I remember my brother like he's like yeah. I just like look at this, and it was a Mad Max box set of the trilogy on VHS, right? And that's the first time we bought it. Came through the post, and we're like, yeah, let's watch it. And I was always told, no, go fuck off. You're too young. You can't watch this. So what I would do, I'd fucking just creep in when no one's here, pull a sickie from school, and I'm like fucking watching Mad Max. But Mad Max 2 was the first one I watched. And then I watched, I think it was it's the first one. And recently, I went back and just started watching them as well. And it really is that that thing. I not hate to use it, but it's that cult classic feeling.
Yeah.
The music suddenly comes out of nowhere when the scene changes, and you're like, "Fuck, yeah, that's a bit loud, isn't it?" But it just adds to the charm. It's definitely got a lot. It's very raw. I love my raw cuts. I love my raw beats and stuff like that. And then when I watch that, it just brings that feeling back that they really did try to do their best with what they had at that time, and they delivered something that has got a huge following. Yeah, definitely an A for me, man.
Yeah, and guys, if you're watching this on the replay and stuff, and you haven't seen the first original Mad Max, whatever you do not watch the dubbed version, because there's two versions.
Good point.
Watch the original Australian version. My God, I started rewatching it the other day, and it somehow flicked over to that bloody dubbed version. I was like, oh my God, what the hell's going on here? Switched it back over. We're good to go. All right, guys. Next one for me, The Road Warrior. There's only 2 S-tier films in this franchise for me, and this is definitely the first one, The Road Warrior. I think, with that first Mad Max film, the fact that it was just sort of pre-Wasteland, so the world hadn't totally gone to shit yet, was probably in George Miller's like advantage as far as budget and stuff goes, because he hasn't had to make everything look as decrepit as what it does in The Road Warrior. I think The Road Warrior is like the ultimate vision of probably is what George Miller had in that first movie.
Yeah.
To me, this is like a masterpiece of the 80s in terms of like practical work, stunt work that was done. We've got rememberable villains in this one. Mel Gibson has never looked cooler in this one, like especially like our opening shots with the V8 and stuff like that, which we don't get a lot of, but especially when he's like, he's collecting petrol from that gas tanker and stuff like that. Then you get the mad guy with the mohawk and he's bitch on the back with the blonde hair and stuff like that. But yeah, man, The Road Warrior to me is S tier through and through. It still holds up today. Mm-hmm. Brian May's music, he was the composer on the first Mad Max film, but he comes back on The Road Warrior, and I love the theme tune for The Road Warrior. It never really makes an appearance ever again, apart from The Road Warrior. I thought it was a really good theme for Mad Max, though. But yeah, for me, easy S tier. Easy S tier. Paul, where's this one going, mate?
Yeah, the first 2 Mad Max movies remind me a bit of the first 2 Evil Dead movies, where the first one's sort of like a proof of concept, and then the second one's like, here's all the money, go and make the version that I feel like you wanted to make had you had the budget. And that's what it feels like with Mad Max 2, because I don't think it tells you how far after the first one it is, but it feels like a complete different world to me.
It gives an intro right at the start, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives you like a thing, but it's sort of just like something just to tee up the film. That, like I said, the continuity is like all over the place. Like how much shit has happened since the first 2 films, but they don't feel that. It only feels like he's like 5 years older. Anyways, yeah, to me, it's sort of like the vision that George Miller had with the first film realized with the budget he was given for this one. A bit like Fury Road, which we'll get to, it just feels like one big car chase for the majority of the movie. All the stunts are incredible still to this day. All holds up. The film aesthetically looks cool as hell. I'm a big fan of dystopian sci-fi sort of, wasteland sort of that aesthetic in films and any sort of media anyway. So it has always appealed to me in that sense. Mel Gibson, like I said, cool as hell. That leather jacket, sick. Love his car. That car is not enough in this franchise, and it's an absolute travesty that it's not, because it's one of the best cars in movies, up there with the DeLorean, the Ecto ones, up there with all them for me.
Yeah.
Love the cast of characters in it. I think it's got a colourful cast of characters that really pull you in. Trying to think of the sort of city town he goes to. I can't remember if it has a name in it. But it's got the feral kid in it. It's got the dude with the weird face, with the helicopter and whatnot. It's got a cool cast of characters. I really like it. This is the one I've watched the most, even over a few. I've watched Road Warrior by far the most out of all these films. S tier, without a doubt.
Yeah, 100%. Tarek, where are we going with the Road Warrior, mate?
Straight up S tier, man. I'm not going to hesitate with that. Paul knows how much of a fan I am of Fist of the North Star, and the main character Kenshiro. The design of the world in Fist of the North Star is all inspired by Mad Max, and specifically Mad Max 2, because the villains identical, the vehicles identical. What Kenshiro wears, just like what Mel Gibson wears in Mad Max 2. And I saw Mad Max 2 first, and then when manga first came to the UK, and you got these videotapes, and you're like, wow, this is Japanese violent cartoons. We didn't know about anime then, and you watch this, and I was like, I tied them two together. I said, why is it kind of very familiar? They're similar to each other, and the amount of times I've seen Mad Max 2, man, I can't remember, but I just love everything about that, man. When no one wants to drive the tanker, he comes out and I'll drive that tanker.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's like, this fucking madman, and it's just knowing, getting to just what's going to happen next. What other weirdos are we going to see? What other freaks are we going to see? What's going to happen? It's just great, man. And the same thing, man. The Interceptor, man. That car.
The black on black, as they call it in the game.
The sound of the superchargers on that bloody thing, and just a close up of the car. That huge fucking grill on the top and everything, man. I think, to me, next to the 1989 Batmobile, that is definitely one of my favorite cars, the Interceptor, man. Definitely. And Mad Max 2 S tier film. I have so much attachment, I should say, to that film. Yeah, definitely.
Still holds up massively when you even after you go back after Fury Road and Furiosa, if you go and watch it, it's like, fucking hell, yeah, man, this is epic still. Andy, the Road Warrior, easy S is this one?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, stick it in S. Similar story, mate. I watched it to death. Had it on DVD. Probably the first one I watched as well, and then circled back for the other two. Can't remember in what order. Probably in the 90s at some point. I remember when there was young boys that were a couple of years older than me that lived across the road from me that introduced me to it. Actually, they were right into it. They were car nuts. My dad was always working on a car. They had like shitty Fiestas and that they were. It wasn't a V8 Interceptor. They were like the type that would go down the shore and rev their engines and all that right into cars. I've never been into that. But so Mad Max was their hero because it was like, there wasn't Fast and the Furious then, So it was like the only thing that was like a kind of petrol heads franchise. So they loved them, and I'd never heard of them. And they, like you say, they show you the VHS with those iconic, like, old school kind of hand-drawn, hand-painted artwork and stuff. So yeah, amazing. Like you say, still holds up. When you think that the stunt work for like the early 80s on that but it wasn't a huge budget. I don't think Mad Max 2 had. it's just amazing. I just love all the little. I love the content. I think 1 and 2 are great. Like they're both short films, so you could just watch them as one big
They're
film.
both about
I
90 minutes. Like,
I know that it was released in America as The Road Warrior because it was a kind of Australian and US release, so they didn't think that the Americans would understand. Blah blah. And it does work as its own film, but I think it's very much enriched if you've watched Mad Max, because you see all those little things. I love that he gets shot in the knee in Mad Max, and then in Mad Max 2 he's got the leg brace, which you would just, if you're watching in The Road Warrior for the first time, you would just think it was some kind of dystopian, weird kind of grunge punk design, but it's actually because he's had his knee blown out, so it's like an augmentation thing to help him, and it's like the same outfit, but it's all like the sleeves ripped off, the interceptor's all bashed up now and stuff. I just love all that everything's eroded and corroded, much the way the world has, kind of thing. But the chase at the end is fantastic. It's oddball, isn't, like you said, like the characters are weird and wonderful, wacky. Yeah, it's just stood the test of time.
Yeah, and we move on to Thunderdome. Beyond Thunderdome. What a name for a film, by the way. Beyond Thunderdome.
Great name, yeah.
Fuck yeah. So similar to Paul, I watched all of these out of order when I was younger, but the reason I have such a affiliation to Beyond Thunderdome, it's the first one I watched, and I feel like this was the one that was on TV the most when I was littler, so this was the one that automatically got watched. I think they could play this one during the day, do you know what I mean? Because there's not much, they can edit certain things out in this film, and it just play like a kid's film. Yeah, I understand. Every grievance anyone's ever chucked at Beyond Thunderdome, I totally get it. But I just think where I was at the time of watching it, like the whole Bartown at the beginning, I love Tina Turner as a villain, but somewhat a villain who you sort of like by the end of it, like especially right at the back end of it when she's sort of like, we'll catch you next time, Max. It's sort of like, I don't know, I just like Tina Turner. A bit of an odd choice for the film, but totally works. Visually unbelievable. The actual Thunderdome itself, great visually, Master Blaster, that whole thing. Like it blew my mind when I was little, and like his helmet knocked off and there was just another guy there. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, guys, it does turn into Lord of the Flies, the Goonies, for like half an hour. You've just got to be prepared. It comes at you about 45 minutes in the film, boom, left hook, you wake up, oh, it's the Goonies. You're just expecting like Sloth to turn up or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I totally get it. Captain Walker. They even change the theme as well. Like they put this weird sort of theme in when he's around. Mental. But I do think the film arguably picks up at the end. I know Andy was saying it might end a little bit flat, but for me, they do still manage to get that chase that you expect from a Mad Max film in at the end. So it picks up again at the end for me. But people who don't love it and stuff, I totally get it. I just think this is like a product of its time when it comes to the 80s. Not like the Road Warrior, where it's almost timeless. With this one, Beyond Thunderdome, you're like, oh yeah, that's like late 80s banger. You know what I mean? Like the music and all that.
Songs are banger. Sure.
Songs epic.
If we were just going song alone, there'd be an S tier film.
Oh yeah, 100%. But for me, I would put this. Fucking hell, B. I'll go B. And I know I put the original Mad Max in B as well for my own ranking, but I would have it lower than that OG Mad Max. Don't fucking come at me in the comments, man. But yeah, guys, Beyond Thunderdome. I know it's a bit of a rough one, but how are we feeling about this one, Paul?
Yeah, Beyond Thunderdome for me I don't dislike any of this trilogy. It's just my least favorite. It's like the Back to the Future 3 of the three movies. I don't dislike it. It's just my least favorite of the three. I think arguably it's got the best world building of the three.
Yeah.
It gives you a sort of scope of where we are, where the world of Mad Max. Whereas I feel like the first two are very set in one location, if you will, sort of like just desert and road Whereas this one, you know, we're seeing towns and stuff, which they sort of expanded on in the newer films. So I think in terms of world building, it's the best one. It's just a mismatch of a story. It's sort of all over the place. Like I like the sort of Running Man aesthetic of the Bartertown and the Thunderdome, and the going in the sort of like the game show, if you like, sort of thing. I liked all that. And then it switches to sort of Peter Pan, Goonies weird shit. That I'm just, I don't get it. Is he sort of like they think he's like a messiah or something, which weirdly is like the sort of through run of the Mad Max character. He sort of just, you know, goes somewhere, solves a problem, and goes on his way. He's sort of that sort of written character. Yeah, you know, we've said it in our Furiosa review. He's the cowboy, he's sort of the messiah. He comes in, he solves the problem, he's gone. It's just a weird way they do it in this one. But yeah, I like the ending. And the ending for me is it's not the Road Warrior, but it's got a cool chase scene. It's sort of like that. The film for me, it's sort of, you know, up then down, then sort of up, and then sort of at the end. I like it. I'd probably go B as well, if I'm going to be honest. That Thunderdome song, though, man, that is probably one of my favourite songs of all time. I kid you not. It's probably on my top 10 most played songs on Spotify. I absolutely adore that song. And it's got the best saxophone solo of all time.
It's in the rotation, mate.
Love that song, man.
Tarek, where do we want to put Beyond Thunderdome?
I think I agree with B. It's the one that I've seen the least, but you know, it's got its charm. Is, you know, one of those ones where I don't know to say that it's incredibly inconsistent in what happens in it, but it has got some really cool aspects of the actual film itself. You know, we're all going to talk about the soundtrack and stuff, but you know, I'll leave that out because that's already been expressed. But yeah, I'd say yeah. I won't go on too much about it. In all honesty, it's literally the one I've seen the least, but I do remember it. And it's a B. It's a B for me.
We'll go B. Andy, you got any final thoughts on Thunderdome, mate?
Nothing I haven't said already. But I would probably go between B and C. Like B, if I was being really accurate, but I wouldn't be annoyed if we went with B. But probably the Tina Turner tune and her character probably elevates it into B. But it's not it's not one I watch over and over again, and I think it's telling that all of us are in that same camp, because there's just loads of other films, not just Mad Max films, but there's loads of other films I would rather rewatch than Thunderdome. You know, I think when it gets to that point when it goes Lord of the Flies, even Mad Max as a character looks like he can't be asked being in it anymore, as if he's like,
no.
How have I ended up with all these stupid kids? Like,
yeah.
It's almost like it's a burden to him. He's like, oh, like, you know, he just wanders from scene to scene, kind of going, oh,
where's my car?
With these kids, and then it's almost like he's just glad when he's got something to do again at the end.
There's my car.
And that's ironically how I feel watching it. But yeah, it's not the worst film in the world, but it's the weakest of the franchise for me.
All right, these next two, I'm going to give you them both here. So Mad Max, I would put in obviously S tier. Crazy what George Miller managed to do here. Like I was saying with the Mad Max 79, that was sort of like his plans with like the budget he had at that time. Then the Road Warrior comes along, and it's like the 2.0 version of the first Mad Max film. Then we go 20, 30 years down the line, and we get Fury Road, which is like the 2.0 version of Bloody Road Warrior. Yeah, I absolutely love Mad Max Fury Road from start to finish. I actually like Tom Hardy's performance as Max. Shame we don't really get a bit more of him, but luckily Charlize Theron's Furiosa character is so spot on in that film that you don't really need a lot of Max. But yeah, the Junkie XL score in Fury Road is the best out of the entire franchise, in my opinion. And especially after seeing Furiosa and with him scoring that film as well, it just shows you how fucking amazing that was in Fury Road. But for me, it's an easy S tier. Furiosa, I'll put that an A. Easy. It's an easy A for me. I don't think it's as good as Fury Road, and I actually don't think it's as good as The Road Warrior. I think for its time, The Road Warrior is immaculate. Furiosa, I didn't have hardly that many problems with it, just a few CGI elements that took me out of it slightly, but overall, really enjoyed Furiosa. Second favourite film of the year. Can't wait to watch it again. So I'm going S for Fury Road, A for Furiosa. Paul, where are you at with these two, mate?
Yeah, I won't go on too long, man, because we've talked about these in our review from both. I agree with you every step of the way you've just said there, mate. Literally everything you've just said, I would echo. S for Fury Road, A for Furiosa. Fury Road, still one of the best action films, one of the best movies of the last 10 years. A cinematic start on IMAX just blew my head completely off. Fantastic movie. I would recommend it to anyone.
Cool, man. Andy, where are we going with these two, mate? Fury Road and Furio?
Yeah, probably the same. Reluctantly, like.
Oh, go on.
I could probably put them both in S tier, to be honest, because the thing with this is that it's a Mad Max franchise tier list, but it's the odd one out because it's not about Mad Max, so it's kind of difficult to, and that's the character we love and has the legacy, so it's unfair in a way to compare it with the other ones because it's its own. Yes, it's the same universe, but it's focusing on a completely different character. Different film. Like, it's amazing, like you said, that George Miller has managed to keep this level of filmmaking up within this franchise that he created. But yeah, it's different. It's completely differently paced to Fury Road. It's structurally totally different. It's which I liked. I think it's nice, depending on what mood you're in. You can watch either or. If you just want something that's like, I just want something that's going to hold my that's going to be one pace, breakneck all the way. You put Fury Road on if you've got a wee bit more time and you maybe don't want to be thrashed from you don't want like road burn after it kind of thing. Then you maybe put on Furiosa. But I think if you're putting it in a Mad Max tier list, then you have to differentiate it from Fury Road because I think it's the king of the franchise kind of thing, of the Mad Max franchise. But I think Furiosa will only get better with more and more viewings. The set pieces, although they aren't continually linked together, are amazing. That one in the middle with the Bobby knocker, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And just a quick note, I think you guys were talking about the aesthetics, or some people have been talking about the aesthetics and how like they're somewhat better. Yeah, it's a different DP and all that, yeah, but this one was actually filmed in Australia. Fury Road wasn't. So I don't know if that's another reason why. So the Bobby knocker sequence has got a more natural skyline and stuff. Yeah. It appears brighter, it appears bluer, it appears more like real life. Maybe because they just wanted to actually capitalize on the fact that this is actually filmed in Australia and that's where we're supposed to be. Whereas when they filmed, I think it was in Namibia, Fury Road was mainly filmed. They've played about more with it because they're trying to make it look more like something else. Yeah, so maybe a bit unfair some of the comments about how it looks visually because filmed in completely different places.
Out of all the sort of nitpicks I've seen people do with Furiosa about the way it looks, that's the one thing I didn't pick up on in my view whatsoever. I think it looked just as good as Fury Road, and the CGI didn't pull me out of it whatsoever. I think Fury Road's got just as much CGI in it.
They've got different. They do have this slightly different aesthetics for sure, but I think that this whole thing about it's CGI, too much CGI. I've seen a lot of comments, too much CGI in Furiosa. I don't remember having any gripes with the CGI whatsoever. I was too busy having an amazing time, and I came out absolutely beaming after watching it. Like I was so enthralled by it. I really, really enjoyed it.
They are only nitpicks, like the CGI elements that I've mentioned before. They are just small little nitpicks. Like there's a sequence right at the start. So obviously, like we follow the daughter and the mother. There's a bit where the mother like sort of does. Can you remember in in one of the Hobbit films or it might be the Lord of the Rings films where Legolas like gets himself on a horse and it's like, do you know what I mean? There's a similar thing that happens right at the start of Furiosa.
Anakin on that thing in Attack of the Clones. Like
yeah, totally.
Hellish
There's one of them at the start, but I've only the smallest nitpicks. Tarek, where are we going with these two?
I would say Fury Road would go up to S because of the sheer fact that after such a long time we got a Mad Max film, and to deliver something that is on a completely different level, a completely new level, and bringing fresh elements into it as well. So, for example, the sandstorms, right? We didn't see that in the other films. Obviously not. You know, you couldn't really do it back then. Technology was limited, unless you want to throw a bunch of crazy fuckers into an actual sandstorm, and then you probably won't see them again. But you know, it's one of those things that was just it's just an entertaining film from start to finish. I will say though, I just wish that Tom Hardy never spoke in it. I wish he was just and just grunted here and there. I like if he ain't Max again, I don't really give a shit. I really don't.
I'm with you. I'm actually with you.
Yeah. I'm indifferent towards him as well.
I was actually watching it, and I said to my brother at that time, I said, I wonder why Guy Pearce wasn't picked to play, Max. You know, yeah, Mel Gibson was a little older, but Guy Pearce, and then we thought, you know what, they wanted to bring in a pretty boy who's known at that point, and bring in all the women as well. That's what it is, isn't it? Right at the end of the day, let's bring in Tom Hardy. He's going to bring in a whole different audience altogether.
I think he was just shit hard that time as well, wasn't
he? Yeah, that's what it is. And it's like he's in everything, and I'm gonna go watch whatever he's in, and that's what it was. Guy Pearce,
that sold me on the film as well. I was like, oh shit, Tom Hardy's playing Mad Max. I'm going.
I knew that he was in it, but I was actually like, it's a new Mad Max film and it looks nuts, so I'm gonna go watch it. But in all honesty, you know, it's one of those things that if he isn't Max again, I don't really mind. Furiosa, definitely, you know, as a whole, not a spin-off, yeah, but it's really good to see different characters in that world and their story, you know. The action set pieces and stuff, but then, you know, you think to yourself, okay, where else, what's next? Obviously, let's just take the whole box office thing out of the window, like just put to the side, sorry. But, you know, you think to yourself, okay, what's next? How can they top what they've done in these two films if they make another one? What can they do? If they crank it down a notch and make it more grounded, more gritty, like, fuck me, like, Max is really on a rampage here. And, you know, but if it doesn't have the same action as these two films, are people going to feel it as much? You know what I mean? So... But sorry, I probably just went off a little bit. But yeah, definitely, like, let's just say Fury Road is an S and Furiosa is an A for me.
Cool.
Can I just say thanks for bringing up the Tom Hardy casting, Tarek? Because I meant to mention that. Like, it pisses me off that he doesn't have an Australian accent. It feels criminal when that's like he didn't even try and just put one on. He's got this weird accent that isn't anything. It's just bizarre. Anyway.
Yeah, because
for me, he really doesn't feel like Mad Max until he gets that leather jacket back on.
The funny thing is, the one bit I always remember with Tom Hardy in it, you know, when he's mentioning the plan, and you know, those ladies, they mention the plan back to him, and he turns around and he's like, oh. I'm like, bro, did you have to do that?
He reloads a pistol like a motherfucker there, man. I'll give him that.
This is the thing. I wouldn't like if he does come back. I'll be pleased. Like I wouldn't, but I'm also with you guys. I'm a little bit indifferent as well. And I think we've left it long enough now that you could cast someone else. This should be like a James Bond sort of role in a way. Do you know what I mean? But just a little bonus one. We've all played it. If we were going to put the game anywhere, where are we putting the game in this S?
I got S straight away.
100%.
I mean, I'd probably go A. Yeah, I think it's a bit too long, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't got the
Did you
V8
finish
yet.
it though?
I've completed it. I think it drags on a bit too long, the game. I
Just
loved it.
recently?
No, when it
Side-
first
says
come out.
Side missions.
Oh,
innit?
right.
It says side missions, in it, Paul?
Yeah, they get if you're really trying to go for completion, this goes on for hours, man. It's such a long game.
Well,
I
I
love
absolutely
that
loved
game.
it, but I'm a sucker for those
Such an
skill-tree
underrated, such an
beat 'em ups.
underrated game.
All right, guys. I think we're going to leave it there because we've been going nearly 3 hours. Sorry about this one. Anyway, guys, if you've been listening, been watching, thanks a lot. Guys, have you got anything that you want to plug? Andy, I know you've got a couple of videos out at the moment on your channel.
Yeah, I've kind of started up again. Yeah, there's 2 videos on there if you want to go and check them out. One's a Bruce Lee Into the Clones review of Severin's latest documentary about the Bruceploitation period, and June Fanbox. Really just getting started again, but yeah, I'm making kind of regular content again. So if you haven't already, nip over and keep an eye out for future videos.
All right, guys. Tarek, have you got anything that you want to plug, mate? Anything on the channel?
No, man. I've been on my hiatus for I don't know how long, man. It's since my little one Sammy turned 1. That's it. It was just having had the opportunity. I really want to start doing my Anatomy of a Fight Scene series, and pick certain fight scenes and even feature some of you guys on there as well. You don't need to know the ins and outs and be an expert about it, but it would be good to discuss certain fight scenes that you had an impact on you and how we dissect it, and then how you compare it to another fight scene. And I'm looking to actually do something like this pretty soon, and I think it'll be really good as well. So start.
Sounds good, mate.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna try and get it together soon.
Cool, man. Cool. All right, guys. I think we're going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. We will catch you not next week. There won't be a release, but the week after we'll have something planned. I'm just finding my feet with these podcasts and the release schedule at the moment, but basically every other Thursday, 2 weeks. All right, guys. We'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Peace out, folks.
Pleasure as always.
Take it easy.
See ya.
This is not the greatest stream in the world, no. This is just a tribute